Hey guys, tonight we're tiptoeing barefoot through royal Khmer orchards, where moonlight's literal currency, and that soil beneath your toes. It's got better memory than your ex's group chat. Picture this, your soles press into warm earth that keeps receipts for every footstep since the Angkor Wat era. Drop one sarcastic comment about the humidity. Those night-blooming jasmine petals will crisp up like burnt kale chips. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Wherever you're watching Tokyo traffic jam or Texas backroads, type your city and current time below. Let's see how many time zones this vibe's hitting tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your left foot sinks deeper than the right. The ground here remembers imbalance. Torchlights forbidden, so you navigate by lunar blues and firefly Morse code. That tingle in your arches, not mosquitoes, the soil's whispering your intentions to root networks older than the Khmer Empire's plumbing systems. Historians still argue whether those irrigation channels inspired Rome's aqueducts or vice versa. A petal brushes your ankle, safe bet it's testing your honesty dialect. Remember that viral lie detector cactus trend. This makes that look like a kindergarten trust exercise. Workers here once stole a single overripe mango. Next sunrise, found their sandals filled with centipedes. True story. Well, true according to 1920s French botanist journals, anyway. Your pinky toe grazes a pebble. Don't kick it. That's no stone. It's a calcified loyalty oath from some 14th century gardener. Modern scans revealed micro-inscriptions. The king's shadows have longer legs than monsoon clouds. 12 steps later, your heel squishes something suspiciously warm. Could be mud. Could be the orchard's version of a security camera. A breeze carries the scent of rotting starfruit. Don't gag. Disrespect triggers faster here than cancel culture on Elon's feed. Bend parallel to those dangling blooms like you're dodging TSA lasers. Harvest protocol demands humility, posture too proud, and stems snap shut. 4 tourists from Quebec learned this hard way in '97, spent 3 hours trapped in floral headlocks. That rustle ahead, not foliage, guardian geckos with scales mimicking bark. Blink, and they'll rearrange the path behind you. Kingston University's biology department swears they're genetically engineered, but try convincing the locals. Your big toe discovers a snail shell half buried. Flip it over. Empty. Good. Full ones mean you're trespassing on mortuary grounds. Sweat drips off your nose. Saltwater's the one liquid these trees respect. Wipe it away, and the canopy might accidentally drop a spider on your neck. Lean left. That dangling vine's a hair's width from sketching Brahmin symbols on your shoulder. Let it. Royal orchards adored body art workers' tattoos functioned as botanical safety permits. Your right foot hovers over a suspiciously smooth patch. hesitate. Soil consistency matters more than your dating app preferences here. Step light as that influencer who faked a Bali detox retreat. Too heavy, and the earth deposits ilang-ilang pollen in your bloodstream. Sounds fun till you're hallucinating taper-headed tax auditors. Moonlight shifts. Your shadow stretches toward a blossom cluster. Pull back. Prolonged eye contact triggers pollination rituals. 19th century harvesters reported hearing faint wedding bells during these moments. Check your pockets. Any loose coins? The trees consider metal a down payment for your soul. You spot a jagged leaf by your pinky toe. Not a leaf, petrified lotus root from a failed harvest. British museums got one labeled agricultural tool. Local guides snort laugh at that. 3 fireflies zigzag past. Track their path, the middle ones faking, real ones pulse in Khmer vowel rhythms. Catch the imposter, and the grove might gift you lychee wine. A root snakes across your path. Step over, not around. Circling tells the mycelium network you've got something to hide. Archaeologists found skeletons here frozen mid-skip, likely victims of overzealous evasion. Your left foot starts tingling. Ignore it. That's just the soil, archiving your Instagram search history. You reach the first checkpoint, a termite mound shaped like a crown. Brush 2 fingers against its east side. Warmth means you've been honest. Ice cold. Start composing your apology to the earth goddess. Touch it. Lukewarm. Dr. Hortense Bouvier's 1983 paper argued these mounds functioned as ancient lie detectors. Her tenure committee called it creative. A petal drifts onto your wrist. Don't blow it off. Let it dissolve. It's the orchard's rating system. Dissolves clean. You're approved. Leaves residue. Better start practicing your paver of noble intentions monologue. The air thickens with the scent of overripe guava. Your stomach growls. Bad move. Hunger sounds register as complaints here. A gecko scampered up a trunk, rearranging bark patterns. The path ahead now curves snakewise. Follow the curves. Straight lines insult the grove's geometry. Your bare foot lands on something squishy and suspiciously sentient. Don't look down. The 1928 banana theft incident proved curiosity here kills more than cats. Moonbeams spotlight a flower cluster. Your hands twitch, harvest instinct. Not yet. The guardian's oath requires 9 mental repetitions of the royal lineage. Skip 1, and your fingerprints emboss themselves on every petal. CIA tried to weaponize that in 73 didn't end well. That hollow log to your right. Hum the chorus of your most played song. The wood's resonance determines if you'll need tetanus shots later. A mud puddle reflects your face. Check for crown-shaped ripples. None good. Workers who saw coronet patterns got recruited as human scarecrows for 7 harvest cycles. Your pinky toe rebels against a pebble again. Stay strong. In 94, a UCLA student flicked 1 and woke up speaking 16th century Khmer fluently. His tick-tock explaining royal tax codes still baffles linguists. You approach a mossy stone, the final test. Place both palms flat. If it hums smells like teen spirit in Cambodian scale, congrats. You've passed, but the stone stays silent. Always does. The real test was remembering Nirvana's drum intro. Nice try, the orchards adore effort over accuracy. A firefly lands on your earlobe. Don't swat. It's the grove's way of saying good enough, for now. Moonlight pools around your feet like spilled mercury as you step beyond the thorn barrier. Royal guards stand frozen between the trees, their lacquered armor glinting despite the darkness. You've heard tales of their vigilance, how they neither eat nor blink during harvest season. Your guidebook claims these orchards supplied the Khmer Empire's elite with hypnotic perfumes, though it skips the part about disappearing census takers. A moth lands on your wrist, its wings patterned like Angkor Wat spires. You recall the 12th century practice of training silk moths to nibble royal decrees into leaves. This one seems to be spelling something, until it unfurls a proboscis resembling a tiny scepter. Historians still argue whether these groves hosted midnight coronations or functioned as botanical prisons for disgraced nobles. Either way, you're pretty sure that moth just judged your posture. The path narrows, branches knit overhead into a tunnel of trembling jasmine. Shadows twist into shapes no lantern should cast. That one looks like a queen's profile, until it resolves into a particularly ambitious cobweb. You smirk. Royalty always finds ways to loom, even in foliage. 3 fireflies orbit your head like conflicted advisors. One drifts too close to your ear. Their buzz mimics the chime of silver anklets. Or maybe you've inhaled too much night bloom pollen. Ahead, a marble fountain choked with lotus pods. Moonbeams strike the water at precise angles, projecting star maps onto the surrounding trees. One diagram matches the ceiling of Ta Prohm's eastern gallery. Except here, the constellations have added a frowning face near Ursa Major. You make a mental note. Celestial sarcasm predates modern astrology by 8 centuries. The fountain's basin bears claw marks, 4 parallel grooves, suggesting something large hauled itself out centuries ago. Your boots squelch in mud that smells suspiciously like bergamot and bone meal. Stones shift underfoot, arranged in a spiral leading to a clearing. At its center stands a petrified banyan, its bark etched with solar disk motifs. This must be the king's shadow from the legends. You half expect a spectral ruler to materialize, poised to critique your fruit-picking technique. Instead, the tree releases a hum deeper than temple gongs. Your fillings vibrate. Bees, underground machinery, the orchard's infamous self-defense system. You spot laborers' huts beyond the ridge roofs, angled downward to avoid catching moonlight meant for royalty. Modern historians dismiss this as feudal propaganda until they visit during harvest and find their sunglasses cracked by noon. A rusted sundial lies toppled nearby, its gnomon bent into a cowering pose. The inscription warns against measuring time while the king dreams. Smart. Nothing ruins imperial naps like a ticking clock. Your kneecap throbs where a thorn grazed you earlier. The cut glows faintly, same blue as overripe mangoes in Section 6. Coincidence? Absolutely. You're definitely not turning into a human nightlight. Crushed petals stick to your palms. Their scent shifts from honeysuckle to forged steel when examined. Across the valley, a watchtower's silhouette fractures the moon into 9 sickles, 9 the number of wives who allegedly drowned trying to steal jasmine seeds. Something crunches underfoot. You lift your boot to find a shattered terracotta tablet. Glyphs depict astronomers being swallowed by flowering vines. Flip it over. There's a shopping list for lychees and turmeric. Even doom prophecies need grocery reminders. The wind carries a child's laughter, directionless, like it's seeping from the soil itself. You hum a Khmer folk tune to drown it out. The soil hums back in harmony, third interval sharper than it should be. Mist rises, not the dawn's doing, but vapors from leaf pores, exhaling lunar energy. Or so the 14th century manual Moonshado horticulture claims. Scholars mocked its advice about fertilizing with comet dust until NASA found amino acids in asteroid samples. You press a palm to the earth, it thrums like a sleeping throat. Was that a chuckle? Best not to linger. Royal gardens dislike being tickled. As you retreat towards safer latitudes, the trees lean slightly, blocking your view of the southern exit. A ripe rambutan plops into your path, split open to reveal flesh pulsing like a weak heart. You kick it into ferns that hiss upon contact. Above, stars rearrange themselves into the Khmer numeral for 12. A reminder, a threat, or just celestial pedantry. The moth from earlier reappears, spelling out wrong in wing flutters before dissolving into pollen. Great. Even insects here grade your choices. Dawn's first blush stains the horizon, the exact pink of conch shell innards. Time evaporates faster here. Or maybe the orchard just breathes it in. Your canteen weighs nothing. The water inside hasn't aged a day. You consider sipping it to reset your circadian rhythm. Then remember the 1603 incident where a diplomat's wine turned into centipede larvae. The canteen goes back into your pack. A final glance reveals the king's shadow tree, now pointing west, directly at your hotel. Coincidence feels less likely here. The guard statues have pivoted 2 empty helmets tracking your exit. One raises a stone finger to where lips would be. A warning, a farewell. You opt for gratitude and a mental note to rewash these socks. Royal gardens leave stains no detergent can conquer. The spider silk hits you first, sticky strands clinging to cheeks like frozen breath. Each thread glistens with mercury-bright droplets. Lunar dew quivering in defiance of gravity. Harvesters ahead move like chess pieces, all rigid torsos and darting eyes. Blink, and centuries of tradition unravel. Your guide mentioned the Khmer once wove these strands into royal shrouds, threads so strong they outlasted the empire's stone temples. One worker's nose twitches, a droplet falls. It vaporizes before touching soil, leaving the scent of burnt sugar and regret. You crouch to inspect a web strung between hibiscus thorns. The pattern mirrors Bayon temple's face towers, if the carvings were done by a spider high on chamomile tea. Historians still argue whether these groves mass-produced silk for trade or hoarded it for the king's invisible army parades. A dewdrop swells its surface, reflecting your face back in 9 fractured angles. You count them. 9, just like those cursed queens from the fountain carvings. Coincidence? Ask again after your 3rd sleepless night. A harvester's bamboo tweezers hover millimeters from a thread. Her eyelids don't flutter, not once. You try matching her stare. Your contacts dry into sandpaper within seconds. Workers here reportedly rinse their eyes with lime water and chew betel nut to suppress sneezes. The air hums with swallowed reflexes. One drop lands on your wrist, colder than ice melt. It creeps toward your pulse point like a liquid worm. You flick it off too hard. The droplet arcs into darkness and detonates, a tiny supernova that briefly illuminates owl-faced fruit bats. Don't, hisses a voice, though no mouths move. The harvester's lips stay sealed. Telepathic warning. Ventriloquist ants. You settle on collective hallucination for your mental incident report. 3 threads ahead sag, under dew's weight, each droplet containing a microcosm of the moon. Scholars once claimed these orbs cured blindness, until a French botanist's 1906 experiment left his lab rats reciting Buddhist mantras. Your notebook is getting weird today. A teenager in mud-caked sandals offers you a lacquered box. Inside, a preserved gecko gripping 2 dew-catching reeds. Its claws are real, the gold leaf accent less convincing. For emergencies, he whispers before retreating. You pocket it beside your hotel keycard. Modern problems require archaic solutions. Overhead, webs tremble as something large passes through the canopy. Probably a monkey. Definitely a monkey. The dewdrops ripple in unison, briefly projecting the image of a crowned cobra. Monkeys don't wear crowns. Fun. The harvesters begin their synchronized exhale, steam from their nostrils coiling into celestial maps. Your breath falters. Their mist-drawn constellations form the exact layout of Angkor Wat's astronomer's platform, plus a doodle that looks suspiciously like a grumpy rabbit. You mirror their breathing, inhaling air so crisp it hurts. One dewdrop inches up a thread, defying physics like a territorial slug. Workers call this the royal ascent. Dissenters call it spider-pissing gravity. Both sides have valid points. Dawn approaches. Dew starts quivering like panicked chameleons. Harvesters speed up, still not blinking. One man's cheek muscle spasms. A droplet plummets. He catches it on his tongue without breaking rhythm, eyes now watering crimson. Is that standard protocol? The rulebook's mildew-stained pages probably say yes. You edge backward, straight into a web that glues your hair into avant-garde sculpture. A nearby harvester snorts, sound only, respectfully. Screw these people's stone-cold professionalism. As first light contaminates the horizon, workers unroll lotus leaf mats. The remaining dew slides obediently into waiting vials, each labeled with planetary symbols. Your gecko box growls, chirps, does something. You miss Bluetooth. The teen reappears, tapping his left ear twice. You mimic him. The gecko's reeds extend, plucking a surviving droplet midair. It spins inside the box, a miniature snow globe housing the moon's ghost. Not bad for amateur hour. Retreating, you notice the webs now hang devoid of silver, just sticky monuments to last night's alchemy. Workers scrub their eyes with tamarind paste. One applies leeches to her temples, another hums a tone that cracks his clay water jug. The overseer glares. You swear his pupils dilate sideways. Historians still argue whether these orchards produced medicine or weapons. After today, you're voting both. Your socks audibly peel from the dew-slick path. Back at the thorn gate, you spot fresh webs glinting in dawn light. They've woven a perfect scale model of your hotel pool, chaise lounges, and all. The message is clear. Sleep with one eye open. You counter by dropping the gecko box into a guard's stone palm. Let archivists puzzle over that tomorrow. A final dewdrop clings to your collar, stubborn as a jealous lover. It dissolves while boarding your tuk-tuk, leaving an earworm of the harvesters humming. The driver eyes your cobwebbed hair. Moonlight cocktail party, he asks. You nod. Some truths taste better swallowed. Your tuk-tuk stalls, 7 paces past the orchard's thorn gate, engine coughing like a smoker, denied their dawn cigarette. The driver kicks at its wheels, but you're already stepping out. Something hums in your pocket, the gecko box, vibrating to the rhythm of distant temple bells. Midnight's first toll shatters the jungle's breath. Locals swear these chimes once synced with Angkor's water clocks, though modern horologists attribute that to 12th century royal propaganda. A teenager materializes at your elbow, same mud-caked feet from the silk harvest. Rithisak, he mutters, pointing to himself. You follow his torchlight through banana trees, unfolding like paper fans. Fireflies die as you pass, their bioluminescence snuffed by unseen jaws. Rithisak pauses beneath a jackfruit tree, its trunk scarred with overlapping circles. 4th chime, he whispers, tapping a carving. Historians still argue whether these marks tracked disappeared workers, or something lunar even experts can't name. The second toll rings deeper now, vibrating your molars. Orchid petals rain down, sticking to sweat-damp necks. Workers emerge from reed huts clutching woven baskets, their eyes milk-white from decades of night harvests. None speak. You mimic their slow shuffle toward moonlit trees until Rithsack elbows you. Count steps, he hisses. 5 paces in, you realize the soil's crunching. Frost, salt, crushed cockroach wings. Spicy answer. All 3. Rows of starfruit trees glow faintly blue, an astronomer's fingerprint smeared across each rind. Workers pluck with metronome precision. One woman's timing off by half a breath. Her fruit bursts into moths midair. They swarm her face, but her scream stays trapped behind sealed lips. You grip your gecko box tighter. It's purring now, or growling. Jury's out. Third toll shakes pollen from coconut palms. Workers freeze, baskets suspended like paused film. Rithsack yanks you behind a termite mound. Watch feet, he warns. Moonlight puddles writhe, then solidify into blade-sharp shards. A man misjudges his pivot, leather sandal cleaved clean through. He hops backward, leaving crimson polka dots that sizzle like frying garlic. The group abandons him without glance. Cold, but efficient. Your pocket convulses, gecko box nearly leaping into the dirt. You unclasp it just as the 4th toll begins. Sound doesn't hit so much as invade, a bass note that liquefies your kneecaps. Rithsack's torch extinguishes. Workers scatter baskets abandoned to the groaning soil. You glimpse shapes forming in the disturbed earth. Hands, roots, the gecko's reeds snatch at empty air, pulling you toward a half-collapsed well. Dawn licks the horizon, 3 minutes early according to your waterlogged watch. Workers still in the grove flicker like faulty holograms. One man reaches for a levitating mangosteen, his fingertips dissolving into pollen. A woman's braid unfurls into ivy. The last chime's echo lingers, bending tree trunks into carnival mirrors. You're running now, Rithsack's footsteps 5 paces ahead. Or is that the thing mimicking him? Daylight hits. The grove exhales, its contortions snapping back into botanical normalcy. Vanished workers' baskets sit undisturbed, now cradling fat toads that croak in harmonic minor. Your gecko box lies open empty. Rithsack studies the well's mossy rim. Lucky, he grunts, tossing in a pebble. No splash, just muffled laughter and the crisp snap of jasmine stems. Back at the gate, the tuk-tuk driver tuning his radio to Khmer pop. Almost breakfast. He chirps. You glance at the orchard, rose innocuous as a botanical postcard, but your shoe treads squelch with glowing sap, and 2 fireflies orbit your left ear, silent as spies. The driver sees them. His smile dims. Radio says storm coming. Air's dry as a pharaoh's bones, but you nod. Hours later, hotel staff scrub blue stains from your clothes. Their whispers curl beneath the bathroom door. Never get tie-dye out, wrong kind of moonlight. You Google vanished Khmer orchard workers. Most articles blame monsoons or tiger attacks. One blog claims they're recruited as ghost soldiers during Thai invasions. Reddit suggests interdimensional timeshare scams. Historians still argue whether they're absorbed into the trees or traded to something in the forest's oldest ravine. The gecko reappears at sunset, perched on your balcony railing. Its reeds now hold a single dewdrop. Inside floats a speck that might be a crown, might be a spider. Hotel Wi-Fi cuts out as you reach for it. Across the street, Rithisak leans against a sugar palm, face lit by phone glow. He texts you a single emoji, mantelpiece skull. You order room service and triple lock the door. 3 a.m. wake-up knock startles you upright. No one there, just a basket of rambutans, oozing lavender sap. Their spines pierce the hotel notepad pinned beneath, etching a crude map of tonight's orchard quadrant. Your socks still reek of crushed roach wings. Some invitations aren't polite to refuse. You lace up boots, counting each step toward the elevator. 14 paces, and the 14th chime begins. The 14th chime tastes like burnt sugar lingering bitter where sweetness should be. You jab the elevator's close door button, but moonlight leaks through the seam, thickening into moth wings. They swarm the ceiling panel, patterns rippling like animated hieroglyphs. Angkor Wat's walls have similar symbols, though experts argue whether they're celestial maps or royal laundry lists. Rithisak's voice crackles through your phone speaker. Don't let them land. Too late, a moth alights on your wrist, its wings pulsing dots and dashes. Morse code, maybe. Ancient Khmer lunar script, possibly. A Reddit thread once claimed moths carried dead programmer souls. But that guy also swore cilantro was a government tracker. You mimic the flicker pattern, index finger trembling. Nothing. The moth detaches, joining a spiral over the emergency exit. Third try, you switch hands, left pinky jerking like a broken antenna. The swarm stills. One lands on your nose, its wings now depicting a tree with upside-down roots. Elevator doors grind open, revealing not the lobby, but the orchard's heart. Rithisak stands knee-deep in bioluminescent mushrooms, arms crossed. Took you 90 heartbeats. He points to a moth-veiled banyan tree. Wing shadows decide who gets fruit, who gets teeth. His flashlight catches a worker nestled in the branches, mouth stuffed with unblinking moths. You pull out your phone's camera, night mode activating. Rithisak slaps it down. Lens light unjars them. Use this. He tosses a palm-sized mirror flecked with pyrite. Catching moonbeams, you project trembling shapes onto the nearest trunk. The bark groans, unfurling a blossom that reeks of overcooked chai. A moth flares crimson, its wings sketching a cobra's hood. You mirror the gesture, arms spread overhead. Wrong move. The swarm dives, filling your ears with static. Rithisak yanks you sideways, your shadow severed at the knees by moth mandibles. The severed darkness writhes, then scuttles into the underbrush like a headless crab. Not theater gestures, he hisses. Harvest gestures, he demonstrates, wrists flicking like a drummer's ghost notes. Moths lick High's fingertips, each touch leaving glowing commas on his skin. A durian cracks open above, not fruit inside, but a clockwork queen bee. Gears clogged with pollen. You try again, smaller movements, elbows tight. A moth traces your knuckles, its path matching your childhood piano scales. The nearest mangosteen tree shudders, fruit splitting to reveal not flesh, but moth cocoons. One twitches. Something with too many legs glistens inside. Rithsack nods at your trembling hands. Better. Now, a worker stumbles past, arms flailing at a moth cloud. His panic inflames the swarm, their mass blotting out the moon. Darkness gets dense. Your mirror slips, shattering against a rock. Rithsack shoves you into a hollow tree. Muffled screams echo through the trunk, sap oozing over your shoes. The worker's lantern ignites, but flames burn moss green and silent. Moths incinerate mid-flight each corpse, releasing a trapped chime note. The cacophony shakes dew from leaves. When dawn's first smear appears, the swarm retreats, dragging carbonized bones into the canopy. They'll regroup at moonrise, Rithsack mutters, picking charred moth legs from his hair. He kicks the ruined lantern, its glass warped into a scream shape. You spot something in the ashes, a half-melted amulet shaped like a moth pupa. 15th century burial sites near Tonlé, sap held similar charms, though archaeologists are split. Were they insect repellents or spirit amplifiers? Your socks squelch with tree sap and regret. Rithsack checks his vibrating gecko box, now missing 3 legs. Next lesson, spider silk ladders. If you survive the descent, he tosses you a mango pit carved with wing scars. It thrums against your palm, matching the arrhythmia in your chest. Somewhere above, the swarm hums a lullaby even your bones recognize. The mango pit's thrumming intensifies as Rithsack leads you past firefly-choked thickets. Moonlight catches something ahead, a line of trees glowing like cobalt lanterns. Blue means bile, he mutters, tossing you a bamboo shovel. Bury them deep, unless you'd rather join the Queen's mycelium network. You recall Cambodia's King J of Armen VII. His face, carved into Bayon temple walls, supposedly outlawed bluefruit consumption. After 3 concubines turned into strangler figs, digging unleashes a smell like fermented lychees and wet dog. The first fruit resists, its skin squirming under your grip. You glimpse vague shapes beneath the azure rind, maybe fingers, maybe roots. A joke about gluten-free immortality dies on your lips when the shovel strikes something ceramic. Rithsack freezes. Don't, too late. Your blade cracks a burial urn's lid, revealing mummified parrots packed in salt. A 1920s French colonist's journal described these avian ossuaries, claimed the birds' beaks pointed toward secret treasure. All you get is a face full of spores that taste like regret and battery acid. The blue fruit shrieks as you rebury it, a sound suspiciously like your 3rd grade math teacher coughing. Soil swallows the noise until only one glowing tip remains. Rithsack stamps it out. Now the prayer. He recites Khmer verses while sprinkling crushed snail shells. You mimic him badly. Cold spreads up your legs. Roots, probably. Panic, definitely. A half-buried statue watches, its features eroded into a no-face smirk. Historians still argue whether these orchard guardians depict minor deities or failed harvesters. You pocket a fallen cobra lily. Its petals leave paper cuts on your thumb. Rithisak slaps your wrist. Souvenirs sprout in your sleep. His palm bears scar tissue that suspiciously resembles root systems. The next tree oozes syrup that solidifies into amber midair. Trapped inside, a wasp, a scarab, and what might be a human molar. You sweep the hardening droplets into a clay jar. Rithisak nods approval. Good. Now, a rustle interrupts. Behind a termite mound, a worker kneels, blue fruit juice dripping down his chin. His skin already puckers with bark-like texture. Help me remember, the plea dissolves into wet gurgles. Rithisak drags you back as the man's throat splits, fresh tendrils exploding upward to strangle the nearest branch. Sap pools where his eyes were sparkling faintly like carbonated ink. 3 blue fruits nearby begin pulsing. They smell his failure. Rithisak growls, yanking you toward a dried-up stream. Your boots kick up bone fragments, some human, some not. A 14th century Chinese trader's diary mentioned jade fruits that hunger. But he also wrote recipes for powdered mermaid spine. At the stream bed, Rithisak uncorks a gourd. Pungent liquid sloshes inside. Maggot wine, he says, as if that explains anything. He pours it over your hands, the stench, erasing every good memory of birthdays. Blue glow fades from your cuticles. A centipede wriggles out of your left sleeve, disintegrating midair. You turn to ask why maggots, but Rithisak's peeling a mangosteen with his teeth. The revealed flesh isn't fruit, but layered scrolls. Moonlight hits the papyrus. Khmer numerals flare gold. His eyes narrow at a passage. We need to graft lemongrass to the burial site. Unless you want more volunteers for the root choir. The last blue fruit tree looms ahead, its glow dimmer, angrier. Instead of fruit, it grows lumpy sacs that droop like exhausted lungs. You dig with renewed vigor, blisters forming where the shovel bites. This urn you unearth remains sealed, yet something scratches at its inner walls. Rithisak pockets it for the palace archivists. They love unsolvable nightmares. Dawn's first rays ignite the canopy, turning blue remnants into harmless fungi. Rithisak examines your shovel. 3 hairs from the transformed worker cling to its edge. He burns them with a lens, the smoke forming a screaming face. You drop the tool, it sprouts lichen before hitting the ground. They'll repurpose it, he says, nodding to a sapling already growing where the shovel landed. Its leaves curl into tiny spades. Somewhere beneath your feet, roots shift, maybe rearranging, maybe reaching. The mango pit's heartbeat slows, but never quite syncs with yours. Rithisak kicks aside a pebble, revealing 3 chalky snail shells wedged in the dirt. North, east, west, he counts, lining them up like crooked teeth. Fifth, directions for philosophers and fools. You glance at the termite-riddled compass in your pocket. Its needle spins like a drunken dervish. 17th century Khmer trade ledgers mention these shell arrangements. Ancient customs repurposed by kings to honor earth spirits. Historians still argue whether they were offerings or primitive pest control for lychee farms. Your boots sink into loam that squelches like overripe papaya. Digging where the shells point uncovers more than expected, a ribcage cradling a cracked amphora. Inside, not bones, but rusted coins and what looks like a French colonist's dentures. Someone tried bribing the orchard, apparently. A 1930s Phnom Penh gossip column joked about missing expats fertilizing royal mangoes. You're not laughing now. The first shell crumbles as you position it northward. Rithsack hisses, a sound usually reserved for scorpions and tax collectors. Handle them like newborn bats, he snaps, demonstrating a tweezer grip. Moonlight glints off the shell's spiral grooves. You notice each whorl ends in a tiny puncture, like something bit through calcium. East placement requires climbing over roots that curl protectively around a sapling. Its bark pulses faintly, rhythm matching your headache. Balancing the shell, you recall Cambodia's tradition of burying ancestor statues face down to guard crops. This feels different. The sapling shudders as the shell touches soil. A muffled click follows, maybe subterranean gears, maybe your imagination. West goes smoother until a centipede scuttles from the shell's cavity. It moves wrong, legs out of sync, mandibles clicking Morse code. Rithsack stomps it, revealing a carapace packed with miniature scrolls. Unfurling one shows insect-sized Khmer script. The fifth hunger waits. He burns the parchment. The smoke smells like burnt hair and apologies. 3 shells set, no earthquake, no helmeth. You're almost disappointed. Then the ground exhales, a humid breath carrying the tang of oxidized copper. Bones surface like pale driftwood, femurs, finger fragments, a skull wearing a crown of petrified figs. Bad students, Rithsack mutters, kicking a clavicle aside. Forgot the sky's direction. You pocket a molar from the remains, instantly regret it. The tooth vibrates, humming 7 nights in Angkor off-key. Rithsack doesn't notice. He's too busy arranging snail shells into a pyramid. 5th direction needs no marker, he explains. It's the space between breaths, the pause before thunder. Dawn approaches, pink tendrils threading the canopy. Rithsack gestures to a mossy stone tablet half swallowed by roots. Its carvings show stick figures bowing to empty air. Up, he says, tapping the blank space above their heads. Always up. You glance skyward, just in time to see a fruit bat dissolve mid-flight, wings becoming mist. The surviving shells begin to sing, high-pitched warbles that crack nearby twigs. Rithsack slathers your ears with durian pulp, blocks the worst of it, he claims. you'd rather risk deafness. The cacophony intensifies, soil churning, as something uncoils beneath your feet. It's not roots, too angular, too deliberate. A skeletal hand erupts, clutching a tarnished sundial. Its shadow points west despite the rising sun. Rithsack bows, presses 3 mangosteens into the ground. The hand retracts, taking the fruit with a crunch. Tributary paid, he exhales, shoulders sagging. You notice his amulets cracked, mango pits split open. Inside, hollow. No seed, just dust. Birds resume their screeching, as if nothing happened. Rithsack wipes his blade on a fern, sap hisses where steel meets leaves. You kick dirt over the remaining bones. One refuses burial, a child's tiny radius poking upward like a periscope. Historians might call it evidence of agrarian sacrifice rites. You call it Tuesday. The 5th direction lingers, a pressure behind your eyes, a phantom itch between shoulder blades. Rithsack tosses you a tamarind pod. Chew, but don't swallow the seeds. Tartness explodes across your tongue. Suddenly, you're 10 years old, stealing sugar apples from Mr. Hewen's yard. The memory dissolves as Rithsack snaps his fingers. Focus. Orchards feed on nostalgia too. He points to disturbed soil where the bones surfaced. Now it grows something. Not a plant, not a fungus. More like congealed shadow. Rithsack prods it with a stick. The substance stretches like molasses, then snaps back. Forgotten things, he murmurs. Better left unearthed. You disagree, but your shovel's already moving. The first thrust hits resistance, metal or bone, or both. Rithsack's warning comes too late, as always. You unearth a rusted cage, its bars warped inward. Inside, a desiccated cobra coiled around 3 pristine snail shells. The snake's hood bears an embroidered crown, stitching frayed, but recognizable. Ah, Rithsack breathes. The 6th Queen's punishment chamber. Sunlight strikes the cage, the snake crumbles, leaving only scales that flutter like ash, but the shells remain gleaming wetly. Fresh, alive. Their song resumes softer now, almost lullabic. Rithsack kicks dirt over them. Sleep now, sisters. You don't ask. Some silences shouldn't be broken. The mango pit amulet throbs, a fading heartbeat. Somewhere beneath you, something shifts, reordering itself. Rithsack wipes his brow, leaving a snail trail of sweat and regret. Tomorrow, he sighs, we appease the roof, and the walls, and the spaces in between. You pocket a scale, it burns cold, humming, with unfinished lullabies. The scale's icy hum guides you toward black water, its surface, oily, under the mango pit amulet's dying glow. Rithsack hesitates, melting wax dripping from his earplugs. Pools here drink the moon, and anything else that lingers. Your reflection wavers, then stills, revealing a girl with braided hair you've never worn. She mouths words that ripple outward silent, yet they itch your molars. You hum to drown her out, a mistake. The water vibrates, larval shapes squirming beneath the surface. Rithisak grips your wrist, his calluses snagging skin. Dead girls collect voices, here borrow yours, and you'll spend eternity auctioning vowels to catfish. Her hands breach the water palm up. Offerings float between them. A jade hairpin, a rotting mango, your left sock from Tuesday. Historians love debating Angkorian, reservoirs, ceremonial roles. None mention the severed big toes, still clogging filtration channels. The reflected girl tilts her head, right ear detaching, sinking. Turn away, or we'll be peeling leeches from your eyeballs, Rithisak warns, tossing chili powder at the pool's edge. The water recoils, briefly revealing murk choked with porcelain shards. Cambodia's National Museum displays similar fragments. Curators swear they're pottery. You're seeing teeth now. The girl's reflection reforms, lips moving faster, desperate. A frog plops into the pool. Her mouth stretches wide, inhaling the splash. The resulting burble sounds suspiciously like happy birthday. Rithisak snorts. You're not sure if it's amusement or a death rattle. They'll mimic anything. Heard one do a full Chaplin routine in '98. Your stolen scale flares, frost blooming across the water. The reflection freezes, literally, ice crackling outward. You glimpse movement under the ice, distant shapes, waltzing in slow motion. 1920s, explorers' journals mentioned drowned tango parties near Siem Reap, dismissed as malaria dreams. The girl's icy face splits, revealing her reflection and yours and someone else's. Don't count them, Rithisak growls, sprinkling crushed limestone between your toes. Lost a cousin that way, spent weeks reciting prime numbers until his tongue blistered. The girl mouths 73, your lips twitch in response. Mist rises, smelling of lotus oil and typewriter ribbons. A hand breaches the surface, real, not reflected. Its fingers end in broken fingernails, ragged cuticles. It offers a conch shell, buzzing with static. You know this trick. Your uncle's gramophone spat similar noises after he drowned. Rithisak kicks the shell. It shatters, releasing a wasp's nest. The pool gurgles, offended. Reflections warp into grotesque parodies. You with 6 eyes, Rithisak, as a child, the girl bloated and fishbelly pale. Historians still argue whether these visions represent actual drowned servants or just the orchards messing with your medulla oblongata. You're leaning toward option C. All of the above, plus bad karma. Rithisak yanks you backward as the water lunges, a liquid arm snatching where your neck just was. It retreats, clutching a lock of hair. Gift for the collection, he mutters, daubing your scalp with tamarind paste. The pool darkens, satisfied. Your shiver has nothing to do with the missing hair. Something glints below, a pierced earlobe gold hoop, yours from that Phnom Penh flea market. You reach instinctively, Rithisak's blade slices air, severing the water's surface tension. The hoop sinks, followed by a disappointed hiss. Feel clever. He sneers, sheathing his knife. They'd have taken the whole ear, maybe an eyebrow. The reflections resort to cheap tricks now, flashing your mother's smile, your first car's license plate, that embarrassing zit from prom night. You hum louder, off-key, asserting dominance. Rithsack joins in his rendition of jasmine flower sounds like a sick buffalo. The pool boils, frustrated. Dawn's first rays strike the water. The girl's reflection fades. But not before mouthing tomorrow. Rithsack spits 3 times, left, right, center. The pool slurps the phlegm, then stills. You spot something while turning away, a fresh reflection at your heels. Bare feet, silk sarong, a smile with too many teeth. You don't look. Rithsack doesn't remark on the extra set of footprints in the mud. The orchard thrums, hungry. Rithsack's blade still drips pool water as you stumble into the tool shed, your shoulders brushing dangling shears. Harvesters call this place Sala Chhmar, the sweating pavilion, though the clammy air feels more like dead breath. A rusted pruning knife clatters to your feet, its edge flecked with something iridescent. You nudge it with your toe. The blade rolls north, southwest, northeast, as if tugged by invisible strings. 93 steps to sunrise. Rithsack grumbles, scrubbing his arms with lemongrass. Wash the tools, or they'll wash us. You grab a stiff-bristled brush, its handle worn smooth by panicked hands. Traditional Khmer pruning hooks curve like crescent moons, poetic, until you spot fingernail grooves near the grips. The trough's murky water ripples before you touch it, your reflection replaced by a gaunt face topped with a conical bamboo hat. You plunge the shears in the water screams. Not metaphorically, actual wet shrieks that vibrate your fillings. Rithsack tosses in a handful of salt. The noise curdles into angry bubbles. Ancestor appeasement rituals. They'll talk your ear off about it at the Royal University. He's right. Cambodia's National Museum has entire galleries dedicated to ritual blades. None mention the black ooze now staining your sleeves. 3 unwashed sickles hang in the corner, their handles wrapped with human hair. You reach to clean them. Rithsack slaps your wrist. Tetanus shots won't fix what those'll give you. A draft stirs, carrying the scent of overripe jackfruit and damp linen. The sickles swing gently, though your mango pit amulet remains still. Something clicks, metallic, rhythmic. Pruning shears snapping in empty air. Your neck prickles, not sweat, colder, sharper. Vietnamese chronicles from 1812 describe angry orchard spirits near the Mekong Delta. They failed to mention the headache-inducing snip, 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 now drilling into your skull. You spin around nothing. Rithsack's tightening his sash. 7 knots. A Thai monk once told you odd numbers repel kitchen ghosts. This isn't a kitchen, the clicking stops. Frost spreads across the tool rack, geometric patterns like frozen spiderwebs. You exhale, breath visible. Historians still debate whether these phenomena stem from pre-Angkorian animist beliefs, or the less dignified truth that some royals just enjoyed trolling their staff. The frost creeps toward your toes. You hop sideways directly into a hanging bamboo cage. It's meant for storing mangoes. You're not mango-shaped. Rithisak chuckles, then chokes as his scarf whips tight around his throat. Spectral fingers, translucent but glittering, tug both ends. He slashes blindly. The blade passes through them, hits a clay jug. Fermented shrimp paste oozes. The scent makes your eyes water. The fingers vanish. His scarf flutters down sliced clean. Every damn time, he croaks, rubbing his neck. Should have taken that Phnom Penh tuk-tuk job. You notice the frost has formed characters on the wall Khmer script backwards, repeating tit, me over and over. Endings. Rithisak spits on the letters. They sizzle. Your amulet warms. A feeble glow reveals boot prints in the frost, pointed inward, circling your position. The sickles fall screaming again. You dunk them. The water turns viscous, tar-thick. Bubbles rise, each popping with a whispered number. 7, 12, 19. Prime counting for a darker math. A hand brushes your nape icy, lingering on the third cervical vertebra. Survivors. Accounts flood your mind. That exact chill preceding vanished harvesters. You whirl, shears raised, but attack broccoli rabe instead. It wilts, wrong season for cruciferous veg, wrong century. Rithisak mutters about botanical anachronisms. You're more concerned by the shears, now fused to your palm. Bark scrapes outside, smooth, purposeful. The shed's thatched roof shudders. Pepper berries rain down. Malayan emergency manuals from the 1950s recommended chilly showers against communist spirits. It works better on humans. You sneeze, the shears clatter free. Cold envelops your ankles, climbing, constricting. Images flash, a colonial botanist getting trimmed in 1927. His hedge sculptures still growing near Batumbang. The frost reaches your knees. Rithisak hacks at it with a trowel, sparks fly. Sing something, he hisses. Your mind blanks. You belt out total eclipse of the heart silence. Then, from the rafters, ghostly laughter. Wheezy, ancient, appreciative. The frost retreats, taking your left shoelace as tribute. Rithisak stares, his expression a mix of awe and second-hand embarrassment. Next time, try Cambodian classics. Dawn light slices through cracks in the wall. The shed exhales, tools settling. You find fresh carvings on the door jamb. Stick figures fleeing a cloud with scissors. Mainland Southeast Asian folklores, full of benign tree spirits. These guys missed the memo. Rithisak pockets a rusted whetstone. Its surface shows two faces. One his, one yours, mouths open in silent screams. The path ahead smells of crushed mint and barbasol. Survivors mention this aftershave-like odor. No one admits to carrying razors. You walk faster, shears still clicking in the distance, but fading. Something tugs your earlobe, gentle, almost playful. Rithisak doesn't comment on the fresh scratch, or the silver hairs now mixed with yours. The air tastes like burnt sugar, now sticky sweet, with an undercurrent of ozone. You squint at the horizon, the moon's edge nibbling the sun like a child stealing cookie crumbs. Rithsack counts under his breath, 37, 38, 39, until daylight shrinks to a glowing ring. Workers called these the king's wedding bands, though you doubt newlyweds crave this stomach-churning twilight. A tree ahead shudders, not wind, something internal. Its fruit pulses faintly blue, the same shade as 18th century Siamese ceremonial robes. You reach instinctively. Rithsack slaps your wrist. Taste without the crown's mark, and your molars will dance right out your ears. He rolls up his sleeve, a scarab-shaped brand glowing faintly on his forearm. Cambodian court records mention eclipse tattoos for royal fruit tasters. None describe the branding, iron's sizzle. The first fruit practically leaps into your palm warm, alive. Its skin parts like a lover's lips, juice pooling in your lifeline. You lick it, flavors cascade, honeyed mango, jasmine rice. Then a kick of something metallic, like biting a battery. Shadows deepen, the orchard dissolves. Now you're standing in Angkor Wat's central tower, but it's wrong. The carvings move, apsaras winking, elephants trumpeting silently. Historians still argue whether these visions reflect lost Khmer knowledge or just really good hallucinogens. Your tongue goes numb, then burns. Rithsack's shouting sound underwater. Spit, spit, or you'll too late. The vision shifts, you're floating above a French colonial outpost. 1923. A man in a pith helmet gorges on eclipsed fruit, laughing as his teeth turn to chalk. His giggles echo through time, mixing with your own. Turns out involuntary laughter sounds identical in any century. Reality snaps back, your jaw aches. Rithsack's rubbing chili paste on your gums. The burn fights the numbness. Told you not to swallow. A decayed tooth crumbles in your palm, gray, brittle, gone. Eclipse fruit's toll collects fast. Workers once traded these rotten molars as gambling chips. Archaeologists keep finding them in ancient cisterns. The moon releases the sun, golden light floods the grove. Your shadow stretches unnaturally long, gripping a phantom fruit. Rithsack kicks dirt over the tree's roots. 3 days till you taste normal, enjoy metallic soup. He's wrong. Back in Phnom Penh, your coffee tastes like nickels, your toothpaste like blood. You catch yourself humming a 15th century harvest hymn, the notes rearranged into Radiohead's Creep. At dawn, your bathroom mirror shows 2 reflections. One licks blue-stained lips, the other mouth stop. Historians love debating eclipse fruit's properties. No one mentions this clingy aftertaste of dread. You spit into the sink. A single silver droplet catches the light and winks. 3 days of metallic spit and Radiohead earworms. You take any distraction. That splintered ladder leaning against the storage hut seems harmless enough until you notice the rungs. They're cut from moonlit orchard wood. Each plank shows a different era. The bottom step oozes fresh sap. The top looks petrified, fossilized, older than Angkor's sliding door temple mechanisms. Historians confirm those 12th century hinges still work smoother than your apartment's shower knob. Rithisak watches you eye the ladder that scarab tattoo pulses as he smirks. Climbing costs memories, one per rung your choice, but the grove prefers childhood ones. You scoff until your foot touches the first step. Preschool piano lessons flood back Miss Safik's off-key twinkle twinkle, the mint candies she hid in the metronome. The wood drinks the memory, sap patterns shift into musical notes. One detour, you think, just 6 rungs to the roof. But halfway up, laughter trickles upward. Not your preschool giggles, something tinier, woven through the planks. Cambodia's Royal Carpentry Guild reportedly paid families to test these ladders, but only left-handed boys under 9. No records explain why, though survivor accounts mention permanently mirrored handwriting. Step 5 steals your first kiss, that awkward cinema disaster with Visna. As the memory fades, the laughter gains words. Higher, higher, in glottal Khmer consonants. Your palms sweat, but retreating's riskier. Survivor accounts agree stepping downward traps you between rungs. Archaeologists found a 17th century priest preserved in ladder resin mid-scream, holding a Dutch pocket watch. The roof offers no relief. Each tile's carved with upside-down Bafuans, Angkor's mountain temple, if built by drunk architects. You check your phone, no service, just a cracked screen reflecting something behind you. Don't turn, don't breathe. The ladder's grain whispers. Jump will catch. Wind howls through the orchard, carrying that laughter closer now. Rithisak's shout saves you. Touch the tiles, and you'll owe taxes. This roof belongs to Jayavarman VII. You freeze. The KH Ling-style tiles do resemble imperial tax receipts. Historians still argue whether the real king actually monetized palace architecture or just had a petty grudge against roofer guilds. The wood groans beneath you, a rung snaps. You leap, land rolling, heart-punching ribs. The ladder collapses into dust and fireflies. One insect alights on your wrist. Its glow forms numbers. 1923, that cursed French archaeologist's downfall year. Coincidence? The firefly zips westward toward the king's disintegrating shadow. Rithisak kicks the debris. Should have warned you these ladders hate flip-flops. Back in Phnom Penh, childhood memories keep vanishing. Your 8th birthday cake, gone. High school graduation, poof. The gaps itch like phantom limbs. You find yourself humming Twinkle Twinkle, the same jarring melody from the ladder. At a market, a vendor sells memory mangoes from Ratnakiri province. You bite, the flesh tastes like Ms. Safik's mint candies, and something bitter. That night, giggles seep through your apartment wall. Not kids playing the sound woven, ancient. You press your ear to the plaster. A splinter pricks your lobe, blood beads silver. The wall's bamboo frame shudders, whispering ladderwood promises. Next time, we take the kiss you almost had with male guard. Dawn reveals claw marks on your doorframe, 3 vertical, 1 crooked. Like a child's fingers, if nails grew backward, you sprinkle salt and jasmine rice, protection against spirits, and bad building materials. The landlord complains about the mess. His left hand, you suddenly notice, lacks a pinky when asked. He mutters something about off-brand IKEA furniture and fleas. Rain starts drop sizzle where the ladder once stood. A puddle forms, reflecting not sky, but endless rungs stretching downward. Note, this text is 100% generated fiction. Any resemblance to real methods, historical figures, or viable ladder safety protocols is purely coincidental. The monsoon downpour soaks through your shirt as you crouch, that cursed ladder's reflection still rippling in the puddle. A hand yanks you backward. Rithasak's scarab tattoo glistens under storm clouds. Names are armor here, he hisses, steering you toward rows of blossoms pulsing like throat veins. Each flower's center glows faintly, tiny crowns etched in bioluminescent sap. You reach for one, he slaps your wrist. Queen Indradvi's 3rd ceremonial title. Say it while plucking, not after. The bloom shivers. Its petals mimic the queen's 12th century headdress from Angkor's bas-reliefs. Historians still debate whether those carvings celebrated her diplomacy or mocked her rumored affair with a royal architect. First attempt Indradvi Umalakanatha. The title sticks to your tongue like overripe jackfruit. Petals stiffen, then relax. Success. The scent hits, jasmine layered with something acrid, burnt hair. Rithasak nods approval. Now the hard part. Jayavarman VII's secret moniker. You whisper Paramabisekalpa, misplacing the glottal stop. Smoke erupts, thick, cloying, filling your nostrils with phantom chili powder. Coughing doubles you over. Rithasak drags you clear. 7 nights of this, he chuckles, unless we find a priestess. Frantic, you recall a Soviet linguist's 1983 paper on tidal inflections. 3rd tone, rise on the 4th syllable. Try again. Paramabisekalpa. The blossom detaches cleanly, releasing a scent like chilled lychees. Rithasak pockets it. Close enough, though scholars argue if he preferred bis or bisa. A worker nearby mumbles Esekutri Tribuvanididyavarman, a king who ruled 17 days. The flower turns black, crumbles. Smoke coils around his legs. He'll be hacking up charred phlegm till next full moon. You make a mental note. Never trust rulers with 32-syllable names. Rain eases, revealing blossoms tagged with modern absurdities. One bears Norodom Sihanouk's 1963 karaoke stage name. Another post-Angkorian tax collector rankings. Rithasak smirks. Grove updates. Some princess added her pet poodle's titles last decade. Dusk brings fireflies mapping royal lineages in midair. You accidentally step on a fallen bloom, Rotenak bandum's lesser epithet. Smoke tendrils curl upward, forming the queen's scowling visage. Rithsac tosses palm sugar into the haze. It dissipates with a hiss. Sweetness confuses vengeful titles, he explains, licking residue off his thumb. At the storage shed, blossoms float in ceramic vats. Two workers argue over King Siswat's preferred nasal pitch. One demonstrates a perfect Khmer opera drone. The vat blooms glow approvingly. The other mimics a congested water buffalo. Flowers dim, emit warning smoke. You're handed a basket of easy petals, kings who died young. Their titles feel lighter, barely 3 syllables each. But the last bloom resists. Jayavarman I's childhood nickname, Rithsac warns, tread softly. You whisper Kamrating Jagat Ta Raja, voice cracking. The blossom unfurls, revealing teeth like thorns. Your thumb bleeds, droplets hitting the soil. Historians will later carbon date this bloodstain, sparking theories about ritual fertilization practices. For now, you suck the wound, tasting copper and shame. Rithsac bandages your hand with lotus leaves. Should have used the informal variant, Little Tailor Bird King. You glare, he shrugs. Cambridge published that tidbit last month. Check your footnotes. Nightfall intensifies the aroma maze. Sweet titles, sour epithets, the chokehold of regnal fuck-ups. A worker across the field mispronounces. Suryavarman smoke snakes into his nostrils. He collapses, twitching, as the haze spells incorrect in perfect Pallava script. You survive till dawn by muttering Ang Duong's grocery lists. The shift ends. Rithsac tosses you a mango. Next phase is worse. Something about pregnant harvesters and wooden twins. You bite, juice mixing with residual smoke. It tastes like victory and impending child support. Storm clouds return, this time smelling of burnt titles. The storm's last gasp spits rain as Rithsac shoves a bamboo cage into your hands inside. Twitching fireflies, sketching faint crowns. Their light's not ours to keep, he warns. Dawn's barely 2 hours off. You count 63 insects, each glowing abdomen timed to some celestial clock. You kneel by a blossom dubbed Norodom's midnight radio, a 1960s king who broadcast jazz to troops. The fireflies cluster, forming his face midair, cigarette smoke wreathing their tiny wings. Captures simple, brush the cage through their flight path. But one rule burns brighter: release before first light. A worker across the row pockets 2 fireflies' trophies for his daughter. Bad move. By noon tomorrow, his eyelids will crust with phantom ash. Historians still argue whether 9th century priests used their light for sutras or as torture devices for oath breakers. Your cage fills fast. Each insect's buzz syncs with your pulse. The trick: hum court v music. Jayavarman VII's go-to migraine remedy. Fireflies dip rhythmically. Moths flee your breaths, sour smoke residue. A jar breaks. 3 escapees spiral upward. Their trails spell Chaktamuk in Khmer the old name for Phnom Penh. Rithisak barks a laugh. Their mocking Cosamak's handwriting, her 1950s love letters, had terrible penmanship. Midnight approaches. The fireflies. Glow shifts from gold to venom green. You spot Petch, the new guy, sneaking a specimen into his lunch tin. Warn him. Too late. By harvest's end, he'll dream of flaming feathers, wings crisping like lotus paper lamps. Remember that Soviet botanist who tried exporting them in '78. Cold War espionage meets entomology. His report claimed luminescent counter-evolutionary fauna. Moscow burned the files. The fireflies survived. Larvae allegedly hatched in Brezhnev's office walls. You release your first batch insects, zigzag, toward the Eastern Guard Tower. Their glow fades, absorbed by a mango tree, rumored to scream during solar eclipses. Rithisak nods. Royalists used their light to navigate night raids. Khmer Rouge hated that trick. A worker's scream slices the dark. He sealed a jar. Fireflies inside flare white-hot, scorching palm leaf tattoos off his arms. Their wings now bear his family's birth dates, a brutal repayment for stolen luminance. Your last captures a rebel. It etches curse words onto your forearm. You hum louder, channeling Siswat Manavong's favorite lullaby. The firefly relents, joining its kin. Dawn's first smear of gray unzips the horizon. You fling the cage open. 62 ascend. One clings, its light dimming. Panic. Is this considered keeping it? Rithisak flicks the stray onto a spider web. Grove's loophole, technically. Araneus diadematus owns it now. The spider wraps the firefly, a glowing snack for later. You're spared this time. The field exhales. Workers retreat as fireflies paint final warnings in the air. Your spell Angkor Plumbing Co. A nod to Jayavarman, II's legendary sewage system. Rithisak pockets your cage. Tomorrow, root songs. Hope you've practiced your throat vibrations. Your palms itch phantom firefly trails linger. Blink, they're gone. Blink again. Faint scorch marks pattern your eyelids. You'll dream of winged screams tonight. And wonder if Brezhnev's ghost still swats at Cambodia's escaped lights. Your boots sink into mulch, still damp from last night's firefly chase. Rithisak tosses you a corroded trowel. Roots feast on vibrations today. He grins, pointing to gnarled tendrils surfacing like arthritic fingers. You recall Angkor's reservoir builders, humming to please water spirits, maintenance logs. From 1150 CE mention, song wages paid in honeyed rice. The first root you touch throbs, a subcutaneous pulse matching your heartbeat. Workers nearby chant Smot Tri court hymns from Norodom Sihanouk's 60s symphonies. Modernize the tempo. The one gardener hums the bass line to a tick-tock sea shanty. Bad idea. The soil hisses. His trowel handle sprouts thorny mold. Petch, still nursing firefly burns, mutters about blisters. A root whips his ankle, leaving a bruise shaped like Khmer numerals. By lunch, His mango bowl oozes black puss, the grove's literal interpretation of grievances. Rithisak tosses him a clay whistle. Blow D hash. It's the royal key of Jayavarman, VII's hemorrhoid treatment. You kneel, lips buzzing a funeral dirge from the Chenla era. Roots retreat, exposing rusted nails fused with bark. Odd. Until you remember French colonists tried silencing the grove with iron stakes in 1922. Workers found the metal-infected nails bled sap when pulled. Historians still argue whether it was resin or something more alive. A newbie named Vibal snaps his trowel, curses the tree's mother. The trunk splits, ejecting a fruit that reeks of burning hair. It rolls toward him, leaking venom that dissolves his sandal straps. Lesson learned, he switches to mumbling Cambodian pop ballads, off-key, but effective. Your turn. You hum an upland harvest chant, throat vibrating like a didgeridoo. Roots coil into stools, inviting you to sit. Risky. Royal tax records mention nobles who vanished into living chairs, their teeth later found in lychee pits. You decline, tapping the melody on your kneecaps instead. Sunset nears. The air thrums with mismatched frequencies. Radios would combust here, but human vocal cords, surprisingly durable. Rithisak demonstrates his party trick, yodeling through a bamboo pipe. The ground purrs, producing wild lemongrass. He stuffs some in your pocket. For tonight's nightmares, chew before the fireflies come back. Digging deeper, your trowel clinks against pottery shards. Onlookers scatter, touching buried artifacts, invokes dead priest's wrath. But these aren't relics, just broken 1990s beer bottles. Classic rookie prank. You pocket a green shard, perfect for scraping off tomorrow's inevitable mango sap tattoos. The final hour tests everyone, throats raw, jaws creaking. A foreman breaks protocol, whipping out a smartphone. Bluetooth speakers blast a remixed Brahms lullaby. Roots convulse, catapulting rotten jackfruit at the phone. Screen shattered, music persists. The grove tolerates auto-tune barely as dusk bleeds into violet. The Roots resubmerge mission accomplished. Workers collapse, sipping palm wine through reed straws. Your hands shake whether from fatigue or residual vibrations. Unclear. Rithisak inspects your hole, plucks a white ant queen from the soil. Lunch, he offers, popping it into his mouth like a grape. You decline. Digging reveals stranger snacks. That rumored 18th century British botanist. He's down there somewhere. Diary pages claim he ate nothing but mango-flavored termites. The Roots probably improved his recipes. Walking back, you spot Petch nursing his toxic fruit wound. The scab now resembles Queen Siswat Cosimak's profile, 1903 Royal Mint. Rejected that coin design for being too weepy. Chew your lemongrass. Savor the citrus sting. Tonight's dreams will need all the masking they can get. Monsoon air hangs thick as fermented tamarind paste. Your shirt clings like a jealous spirit. Rithsack kicks a sodden mango pit. It arcs into standing water with a wet plap. Rain's blessing, he smirks, unless you're dumb enough to hide from it. You eye the bruised clouds with mistrust. Every Khmer kid learns these storms built an empire. 9th century engineers diverted monsoons into temple moats. Their reservoirs still regulate Phnom Penh's floods. But royal orchards demand different sacrifices. Here, rain isn't managed, endured. Drops begin like scattered beads, then become a deluge that stings your scalp. Workers hunch, letting water sheet off their conical hats. Yours collapses, the bamboo frame ruined by yesterday's root assault. Reach for a banana leaf. Stop. Petch slaps your wrist raw. His arm bears fresh scars, Queen Siswat's profile now blurred into a weeping moon. Block Moonlight, even by accident, and the grove takes payment. He nods to a nearby puddle. A floating hat rests atop it. No owner in sight. Lightning flares. You count 6 shadows where 5 people stand. Historians still argue whether 19th century disappearances were ritual sacrifices or bad luck. The debate feels academic when your toes prune in squelching sandals. Someone laughs its vibal, shirtless and spread-eagled under the downpour. Coconut farmers do this. He crows, smart as 2 monsoons back. A cocky Aussie backpacker tried rain dancing here. They found his cargo shorts flagging termite mounds, full of bioluminescent grubs. Your eyelids become aquariums. Rivulets channel between Rithsack's wrinkles as he lectures. King Noroddom's parasol bearer vanished in 1877, left his fancy umbrella sprouting from a durian. Skeptical, check the National Museum. 3rd floor exhibits smell inexplicably of wet silk. Thunder sinks with your molars chattering. Workers shuffle, forming a human aqueduct to redirect runoff. Clever, until you notice their earlobes bleeding. The grove hates ingenuity, punishes anything beyond passive suffering. A teen named Molly's invents a rainwater-catching hairstyle. Her braids writhe, knotting into Angkorian numerals that spell covetous. Dusk brings colder torrents. You spot a new recruit, some NGO botanist in Gore-Tex, huddled under a folded map. Colleagues edge away, but not fast enough. The map sags, its laminated surface pooling moonlight into a coin-sized beam. The grove strikes fast. Her scream cuts off as she implodes, leaving only a crumpled hat floating like a dying lily pad. Nightfall worsens the calculus. Moonbeams pierce cloud gaps, silver filaments in the murk. You're now drenched in 2 kinds of light. Workers mimic crabs, scuttling sideways to keep faces and palms exposed. One man's ankle bracelet reflects a photon. His left foot dissolves into mist mid-step. He hops backward, cursing in Khmer that melt a nun's ears. Rithsack finds humor in your shivering. Better than sun. He wrings out his beard, drinks the runoff. Funanera queens bathed naked in these rains, skin glowing like pearl divers. True or not, you're not stripping. That Australian's fate still haunts your dreams, luminescent buttocks winking in the dark like sad fireflies. Midnight tests resolve. Workers collapse into shallow puddles, trusting the grove prefers drowned idiots to shielded ones. You float on your back, counting water strider footprints. Distant thunder becomes temple drums. Your mind drifts to dry markets, warm towels, anything but this liquid purgatory. Dawn arrives as a rumor gray light without warmth. Puddles evaporate, retreating into the soil's memory. 74 hats remain for 73 survivors. No one checks the discrepancy. You peel clothes from skin, fabric leaves, webbed impressions, like palmyra leaf manuscripts. Rithisak tosses you a wiry mango. Eat sweat replaces what the rain stole. Biting in, you taste unexpected cinnamon, the grove's apology, or a digestive warning. Either way, it beats bioluminescent grubs. As sunlight bakes the mud, you spot something glinting. A 1920s French colonial coin near yesterday's tragedy. Historians still argue whether officials bribed rainworkers with opium or just more whippings. The coin's face smiles, a governor who vanished during his inaugural monsoon tour. Flip it. Green patina forms Queen Sisawat's tear-streaked profile. Petch pockets the relic, winks. Next rainfall. This buys 1 minute under a palm frond. You don't ask whose minute, or who'll pay the difference. The grove's accountants balance books in bones and bouquets. Human math crumbles here like wet sugar. Dry clothes beckon, but you pause. That drenched botanist's hat floats again, though all puddles vanished hours ago. It ripples not from wind, but something submerged brushing against the underside. You walk faster. Some questions drown better than others. Soil squelches between your toes. You've reached the turning grounds where night earth breathes. Rithisak thrusts a bamboo rake into your hands, its handle carved with crooked musical notation. Memorize the dips and rises, sing flat, and we'll be picking your teeth from the soil. The oldest gardener shuffles past his left hand, a constellation of stubby knuckles. He hums while working, a off-key drone that makes your molars ache. 9th century Khmer irrigation maps show these orchards, their grid patterns mirroring Angkor's canals, but nobody mapped what wriggles below. You begin raking, each pull must sync with throat vibrations. The chant's lyrics, simple agricultural advice set to melody, turn deep, worms sleep, shallow cuts, roots bleed, mess up the rhythm, and the soil shivers like a scalded cat. Molly's too rose over improvises, just scatting her rake instantly warps, sprouting centipede legs that skitter into the dark. Petch demonstrates proper technique, his vocal cords producing metallic tones. Tune yourself like a KSE Deeve instrument, or become fertilizer. Historians still argue whether these chants derived from lullabies or battle songs. The debate ends when your off-note births a larva. Its translucent jaws click, singing back your mistake in perfect pitch. Someone tosses a snail shell at the creature. It dissolves into blue smoke. Tuning fork, Rithisak explains, tapping the shell's spiral against his rake. Snail slime remembers proper frequencies. You glimpse the head gardener's ruined hand again. His pinky stub leaks sap instead of blood. Dusk brings cicada drones that clash with your chant. A new recruit harmonizes with the insects. Bad move. Soil erupts. Blade-jawed worms surge like living confetti. Their collective hum shreds a mango tree to matchsticks. Sap pools form screaming faces. The head gardener intervenes, his mutilated hand conducting the swarm into a termite mound. It implodes, leaving only a smoking flute made of vertebrae. They're just babies, he croaks, massaging his stumps. Adult jaws could bite through Mount Meru. You notice his rake has no bamboo left, just fossilized worms fused into a handle. The National Museum displays similar tools, labeled ritual objects, under dusty glass. Experts think they're abstract art, but you've seen how they twitch under moonlight. Work resumes with paranoid perfection. Your chant stabilizes, drawing fat earthworms to the surface, their glistening backs spelling archaic warnings. One reads slow in Khmer script, another she lied. Rithisak burns them, their smoke coiling into a miniature storm cloud over Petch's head. Midnight breaks your focus. A worm the size of a mongoose breaches, jaws vibrating at discordant frequencies. Its saliva burns through your sandal strap, revealing toes that now sport papery scales. The head gardener materializes, sings a single glacial note, and the creature petrifies into a mossy statue. That's my fifth this week, he sighs, kicking it into a compost heap. By dawn, your throat feels scoured with pumice. Workers collapse around steaming teapots, their voices reduced to frog croaks. The head gardener offers betel nut paste. It tastes like choir hymns and battery acid. Vocal rest ruins the harvest, he warns. Eat, or next shift, you'll be singing through an earthworm's gullet. As sun climbs, you spot something in the turned soil, a terracotta whistle shaped like a queen's profile. Blow through it, and your sinuses flood with the scent of rotting jackfruit. Rithisak slaps it from your lips. Royal nose flutes. They attracted swarm mothers in the 1600s. He points to a nearby tree. Its bark bears cicada-shaped scars. You pocket the forbidden instrument, a stupid decision. But the grove thrives on stupid decisions, feeds them to whatever hums below. Tonight's chant already loops in your skull, a broken melody that makes shadows bleed rust-colored sap. Somewhere, blade jaws click in anticipation. Your stolen flute weighs heavy as temple stone. Each step through twisted hibiscus thickets tightens its invisible leash. Moonlight pools wrong here, forming arrowheads that point northeast, then south, then up your left nostril. Rithisak's warning echo festers in your skull. Royal nose flutes, swarm mothers. But curiosity drowns caution like monsoon rains. Ahead, 3 paths fork where only one existed at dawn. Choose wrong, and the rustle of scales replaces cricket song. You fumble for the mango pit amulet, carved with your birth stars, only to find pocket lint instead. Shit, the forest inhales. Shadows harden into throat clearings, phlegmy vibrations that shake fig leaves. You step left, gravel erupts into beetle wings. Step right, your footprint fills with black sap that smells of burnt hair. Center path it is, disrespectful little overachiever. Historians mapped Angkor's roads radiating like sunbeams. But these orchards laugh at compasses. Your modern brain wants GPS. Your survival instincts whisper that Mango Pit wasn't just decoration. Missing amulet aside, you recall 12th century carvings showing kings clutching fruit stones during hunts. Experts think they were snacking. Mystics insist they housed trapped forest spirits. Footfalls begin precisely 3 paces behind, matching your stride. But crunching twigs you never stepped on. Don't look, Rule 17 carves itself into your cerebellum with hot pokers. Still, your neck cricks sideways. Nothing, just a child's sandal half buried in loam. Its strap knotted 13 times. The footsteps pause, then clack like coconut shells. You walk faster, they speed up. Sinister game of Marco Polo without the polo part. The path constricts, branches pluck hairs as toll. Wrist-thick vines twist into Khmer numbers, counting down from 9. At 4, your throat seals, gasping, reveals dark humor-beaked dreams. At 2, the flute vibrates, purging nasal blood in rhino snot quantities. 0 arrives as a clearing filled with headless Buddha statues, their shoulders overgrown with orchids. Footsteps stop, statues extend mossy hands, offering mango pits carved into screaming faces. Take 1, and the nearest Buddha's throat sprouts your mother's voice. What time do you call this? You pocket a screaming pit. Statues retract, path reopens, footsteps resume closer. Rithisak materializes chewing beetle nut. His spit stains the soil bloody Rorschachs. Lost your stone cockroach. He spits a seed into your palm. It squirms, becomes a mini mango. Eat the flesh or plant the pit in your cheek. You bite, pulp tastes like apologizing to ghosts. The pit burrows into your gums, tiny roots tickling molars. Footsteps falter. Gatekeepers hate implants. Rithisak chuckles, prodding your swollen face. Now they'll just glare judgmentally. He points to tree shadows. Their darkness now holds humanoid voids with too many elbows. 1 gestures rudely as you pass. Red fungus glows ahead. Its tendrils form a pulsing stop. Rithisak licks it. The fungal letters rearrange into POTS. Word games keep them entertained. He kicks a clay jar. Ancient coins spill out, minted with kings holding mangoes instead of scepters. Year of the rotten harvest trinkets. He yawns, pocketing 3. The flute hums louder, dragging you toward a termite mound shrine. Its surface sweats, larval essence dribbling down carved apsaras. Historians still argue whether these mounds were ritual sites or accidental art. You blow the flute 3 notes, same melody that summoned blade-jawed worms earlier. Rithsack backhands you into stinging nettles. Congratulations, he hisses. Your split lip waters the nettles into carnivorous blooms. You just proposed marriage to a swarm mother. The mound cracks open, glowing winged shapes spiral out. Not insects, not ghosts. Something that hums in chord progressions banned by medieval music theorists. Gatekeeper shadows retreat, even they know about. You sprint, roots snatching at your implanted pit. The swarm splits, half pursuing, half composing a fugue, using your panic as baseline. Rithsack chants like a drunken opera singer. Mango pit missiles clenched between his toes. At the worker's hut, you dive into a vat of fermented shrimp paste. The swarm recoils, its high sea sharp curdles nearby milk jugs. Should have mentioned Rithsack pants, flinging shrimp guts as repellent. Swarm mothers dig abstinence pledges. Your little serenade counts as thirsty DMs. Dawn cracks the sky, winged horrors dissolve with the shadows. Your cheek pit dislodges, sprouting a sapling that plays kazoo noises when wind blows. Rithsack snaps it off. Keep this up, and you'll be a human flower pot by Tuesday. The flute's gone, vomited up during the shrimp paste baptism. Smart move, until you notice its absence leaves eardrums ringing with anti-melodies. Gatekeeper shadows linger at the tree line, cracking their knuckleless hands in unison. Somewhere deep in forbidden canopy, a swarm mother tunes her mandibles to your new ringtone. Your cheek pulses where the pit sapling grew, phantom roots itching like buried spider legs. Dawn's light reveals tree, trunks sweating, thick black resin bubbling through cracked bark. Rithsack spits beetle juice at a oozing fissure. The sap recoils, hissing like grease on hot coals. Welcome, he croaks, to year 19. The air clots with fermented sweetness, rotten mangoes, musk, and something unnervingly dental. Workers shuffle past, their ankles wrapped in boar bristles to repel thorns. One man's sickle slips. A single drop of black sap splashes his sandal. By noon, his foot's encased in amber-like goo, still twitching inside its glossy prison. Historians link Angkor's decline to monsoon failures, but locals whisper of another trigger. Every 19 winters, when Venus kisses Scorpio's tail, these trees bleed rebellions. You kneel to inspect the sap. It reflects your face back, warped chin, elongated eyes replaced by hollow pits. Rithsack yanks you upright, stare too long. It claims your portrait for its gallery. Harvesters now sharpen bamboo rakes. Instead of picking fruit, scratch, scritch, scratch, filling the grove. Their blades never touch bark, merely sweep fallen leaves into hexagonal piles. One worker hums off-key. Nearby sap forms clawed hands that claw at empty air. G-sharp, Rithsack mutters, idiots flirting with amputation. The rules twist daily now. Yesterday, no touching water after sunset. This morning, all left socks confiscated, hung from branches like grubby prayer flags. You ditch your sneaker, instantly regret it. The path grows teeth. Wood splinters bite your soul, drawing blood that sizzles in the sap. Rithisak tosses you a thorn sock knitted from bat fur, better blisters than bone grafts. Midday brings a hornet drum circle, their nest built inside a hollowed Buddha head. Workers toss rotting starfruit as offerings. The insects respond with ominous droning harmonies. Your mango pit scar throbs in sync, memory muscle recalling that ill-advised flute solo. Rithisak points to a tree, coughing up its own roots, gnarled tendrils spelling Khmer numerals in the dirt. They're counting down to the big leak. He kicks a bloated toad off the path. It explodes into black spores. You hold your breath, he laughs. Relax. That's just ordinary jungle yeast. Nightfall worsens everything. The sap glows now, charcoal gray bioluminescence, revealing faces in every trunk. Not human, not animal, something that assigns homework in nightmares. You catch yourself bowing to a particularly judgmental birch pine hybrid. Rithisak smirks, smart. They grade on posture. Harvesters abandon camp, hauling clay urns of pickled ginger to pacify the soil. You offer to help. An old woman slaps your wrist. No outsiders. Your breath still stinks of swarm mother rejection. Her insult hits harder when you notice the workers' teeth, each one filed into tiny spades, perfect for digging thorns from flesh. The real horror starts during first watch. Black sap waterfalls down trunks, pooling into bullet hole puddles. Moonlight hits the sludge. It writhes, births half-formed shapes, disintegrates. Rithisak mutters about tree stillbirths, hands shaking as he lights mosquito coils. The smoke curls into number 19s, over and over and over. By week 3, the thorns arrive, silver, serrated, growing sideways through bark like tumorous whiskers. They thirst for locomotion, piercing boots, coiling around ankles, burrowing toward bone marrow. Workers sing lullabies while extracting them, off-key melodies that make the thorns go limp. You try humming Radiohead, get rewarded with a spike through your earlobe. Rithisak observes your flailing, tosses you a rusted pair of lychee pit tweezers. Founders ate these thorns, or so carvings claim. You glance at 12th century reliefs on a nearby shrine, figures feasting on what you'd assumed were noodles. Nope, definitely thorns. Historians still argue whether it's religious symbolism or the world's worst diet plan. The jungle buzzes with forbidden math. Crickets chirp prime numbers. Spiderwebs glisten with geometric oozes. You find a harvester's journal buried under moldy rambutans. Its pages detail 19-year cycles dating back to J of Armin VII, each entry ending with the same phrase. Queen's shadow swallowed 3 gardeners today. Perfect rainfall expected. On day 99, the trees fall silent. No sap, no thorns, just oppressive stillness. Workers unpack lotus-shaped brass scales, weighing dewdrops from leaf tips. Rithsack avoids eye contact, sharpens his machete extra slow. You ask what happens tomorrow. He carves a number into his forearm, 100, and lets the wound weep freely. That night, owls carry away every timepiece in camp. The thorns retract, forming spiral staircases up moonlit trunks. No one ascends. No one breathes. You feel the swarm mother's mandibles tuning somewhere in your molars, while gatekeeper shadows knot your shoelaces together. When dawn cracks on day 100, the trees exhale. Fresh blossoms unfold their perfume, erasing the last 99 days of rot. Workers collapse into dreamless sleep. Even Rithsack's snoring sounds grateful. You pocket a crystallized thorn, its edges curiously dull. The path home has changed. Where banyan roots once tripped wanderers, smooth stones now guide your steps. Yet your mango pit scar itches fiercely, a reminder embedded deeper than skin. Somewhere above, winged things laugh in perfect four-part harmony, rehearsing for next time. Your healed souls meet cool stone, each step echoing like dropped buttons in an empty hall. Above skeletal branches dangle faceless dolls, linen bodies stuffed with lemongrass arms, ending in frayed jute fingers. Their headcloth knots stare blankly, no eyes, no mouths, just indigo-dyed voids. A woman whittles a new doll nearby, mahogany shavings piling like cinnamon curls. Her chisel avoids the face, carving instead intricate spirals across the chest. Patterns confuse evil spirits, she explains, though her trembling hands suggest different fears. You mention seeing similar figures in Seam Reap's ancient workshops. Historians link them to protective postpartum rituals. Her knife slips. Those museum dolls had painted smiles. Ask their curators about the termites. Nightfall unveils the real rules. Workers hang fresh dolls using fermented banana fiber, knots tied 9 times. One apprentice etches a smile onto his creation's blank canvas. The wood splits instantly, oozing sap smelling of burnt hair. By dawn, his carving tools bear jagged grooves, bite marks matching no known animal. The grove plays cruel jokes. Morning light reveals swapped limbs, doll legs sprouting from tree knots, branch arms grasping empty doll torsos. A foreman demonstrates the proper way to address them, offering betel nuts to a headless figure in a banyan's crook. It accepts, staining the trunk crimson with spit-out juice. Lunch brings revelations via pickled eggs. An artisan shows you century-old teeth, marks on her great-grandmother's. All our tools inherit memories. She points to dolls swaying overhead, their featureless faces now sprouting lichen beards. They'll grow identities by monsoon's end, if the trees permit. Historians still argue whether these figures represent ancestors or something that predates humanity. You get first-hand data when a rogue doll falls, landing upright, its chest patterns rearranged into your facial contours. Workers flee as the surrogates, jute hands twitch, plucking hairs from your shadow before disintegrating. Newcomers assume the faceless rule prevents mimicry. Veterans know better. Each dusk, artisans bury the day's wood scraps under urine-soaked soil. You catch Rithsack adding his own contribution. My sister carved eyes on a guardian doll once. He rolls up his sleeve, shows 4 crescent scars inside his elbow. Now her chisels have better dentistry than Phnom Penh. The true test comes during repair work. Faded dolls require restuffing, but their original herbs now writhe with translucent mites. Gloves prove useless. The insects phase through cloth, laying eggs under fingernails. Veterans chant a Khmer nursery rhyme about frog weddings. The vibrations stun the mites long enough to work. You hum Britney Spears, summon mites that harmonize in autotune. By week's end, the trees host a deranged puppet show. Dolls clap silently, legs kicking, in unison, faceless heads tracking workers like mangrove sentries. You find Rithsack arguing with a sagging figure in a rain tree. I told you, no thumbs. He adjusts the doll's hemp hands, accidentally snapping 2 fingers. A passing gecko bursts, its entrails forming Khmer numerals, scolding his carelessness. Final day brings the cloth-burning ritual. Workers toss decades-old dolls into clay ovens, their bodies hissing warnings in high-pitched whistles. One resists combustion, levitating briefly before unraveling into 9 identical scarves. The foreman pockets them for next year's problem children. As you depart, an unfired doll falls into your path. Its body bears your initials in termite-carved script, face still blank. Rithsack stamps on it. The resulting dust cloud forms a laughing mouth that chases you past the orchard gates. Your pocket feels heavier. Inside, a tiny wooden hand gripping 3 strands of your hair. Somewhere above, faceless laughter rustles through jackfruit leaves, rehearsing next season's opening act. Your sandal catches on a root, a tiny wooden fist still clenched around stolen hairs in your pocket. The path slopes toward crimson-stained clay domes, huts huddled like guilty mushrooms. Workers shuffle inside, their indigo skirts dusted with pollen that flees their shadows. A girl, barely 16, blocks your way, palm outward in warning. Blood moon rules, she mutters, gesturing to her waist. You catch the metallic tang, faint but insistent, that makes mango blossoms furl like scolded vipers. 3 facts float through the grove's haze. 1. Menstruating harvesters exiled since Queen Indradvi's reign. 11th century carvings show her holding a lotus, stem dripping rubies. 2. Modern botanists found petal samples here with iron content rivaling meteorites. Published, then promptly retracted. 3. Last year, a worker named Ning forgot her moon days. She pruned a rambutan tree with a bronze knife. Sparks flew, and the next harvest, fruit with molars. The huts reek of turmeric paste and shame. Inside, Women knead clay into discs, stamped with lunar phases. Press these over, Sokka taps her lower abdomen, or the orchards taste you. Her laugh rasps like sawgrass. You recall Cambodia's 2017 tampon tax protests. They'd combust here faster than termite-riddled dolls. Dusk brings the inspection. Elderly matrons sniff each worker's wrists, rejecting two for rust undertones. One argues, claiming she'd only handled old nails. They make her lick a jackfruit skin. It puckers instantly, oozing sap the color of dried blood. Historians still argue whether this taboo protects the orchard or the women. You're leaning toward both when screams shred the twilight. A renegade worker caught in wrap, neglected stumbles from a lychee thicket. Her ankles bleed where orchid roots snake up her calves, buds snapping like tiny jaws. Veterans toss powdered eggshells, the teeth retract. But her legs now bear B, a RK Chinese letter. Nightmares get practical here. Girls trade whispered workarounds, sleeping on burnt rice husk mattresses, rinsing with tamarind vinegar douches, carrying magnets in their waistbands. You interview a defector turned fenugreek smuggler. Royal guards check our rags like border crows. She hisses, dropping a sachet of crushed hibiscus into your palm. This FOG Chinese letter makes their test strips see what isn't there. Her wink suggests side hustles older than Angkor Wat. Dangers everywhere. Even menstruation-red fabrics risk punishment. Staff must wear indigo or risk being pruned. You witness the sentence firsthand. A laundress caught with crimson silk. Guards force-feed her mulberries until her sweat stains a guava sapling pink. By dawn, its leaves curl into vaginal shapes, oozing nectar that attracts wasps with humanoid faces. The zenith of absurdity hits during lunch. A newbie eats too much iron-rich moringa salad. The grove responds. Hibiscus flowers rotate to avoid her. Palms bleed spontaneously. A papaya pelts her head like a hormonal grenade. Veterans smirk, recalling their own rookie errors. You experiment discreetly. Leave a rusty nail near a sapling. It grows thorns coated in menstrual blood replicas. Pocket a used iron supplement. Night guards track you via fireflies that glow Morse code. Escape seems wise until Sokka stops you at the gate. She peels back her sleeve, revealing copper bracelets fused to her wrist. They think metal poisons the soil. Her smile shows filed teeth, filed during last year's blood banyan incident. You don't ask for details. They're scratched into the guest house walls later, in what might be rust, might be something else. As you exit, petals brush your neck, testing. The wooden fist in your pocket trembles, opening just enough to drop those stolen hairs. Behind you, unseen roots coil around them, weaving a voodoo map to wherever you'll menstruate next. Cold dawn air stings your lungs, each exhale hangs as spectral lace. The ritual demands precision. One breath per fruit, timed between cockcrow's first squawk and the moment sunlight licks the western guard tower like blowing out birthday candles, teases an overseer whose breath smells of betel nut and forgery. His joke dies as a mango mists over, your own moisture-revealing splotches like moldy continents across its skin. Workers murmur the 1632 incident, 11 souls lost to golden hour deceptions. Morning light soft, then, tricking pickers into trusting their eyes over lungs. Now you understand why tables display starfruit, sliced like asterisks, their ridges blush pink when toxins linger. A rookie ignores protocol, polishes an apple with her sleeve. It passes visual checks until her breath triggers black veins spidering across its flesh. The grove weaponizes biology. Your diaphragm aches from sustaining exhales 3 seconds per test. Any longer risks dizziness. Mid-17th century French travelers wrote of similar practices, comparing it to winemakers reading barrel vapors. Here, though, failure isn't sour Merlot. It's convulsions mimicking earthquake aftershocks. Quirkiest detail, the fish test contingency. Doubtful about a durian's safety. Exhale into a jar of fermented mudfish. If they surface gulping, poison's present. The logic's murky, like that one uncle insisting cucumbers cause indigestion. Still, you try it. The fish rise like needy puppies, their gills flaring at the durian's invisible menace. Debates simmer under surface rituals. Historians still argue whether the breath check targets actual toxins or the picker's morality. A senior harvester scoffs, handing you a clean persimmon. Breathe greedily, see what happens. You inhale too sharp, exhale too fast. The fruit stays pristine, but your fingertips sprout blisters, spelling an ancient Khmer insult. Tools of the trade terrify. Overseers wield bronze mirrors, angled to catch first light. Any fruit they illuminate post-test gets incinerated. You witness a conspiracy. 2 workers pocketing twilight survivors. Fruits last breathed on in partial darkness. Their punishment, forced to inhale smoke from burning mangosteens, which reportedly makes laughter taste of burnt hair for weeks. Modern parallels taunt you. This morning's textile mill asthma checks, colonial tea plantation inspections, they all echo in the grove's paranoid puffs. A matron confiscates your lip balm, menthol distorts breath purity. Your chapped lips now crack humorously, leaving blood specks on a pomelo that blooms lilac in response. The real horror's mathematical. 1,200 fruits to test, lungs feeling like overstretched bellows. You develop a hack, humming while exhaling to stabilize airflow. It works until a jackfruit absorbs the tune, starts vibrating at frequencies that attract bats. The overseer fines you a week's wages, paid in clove buds that supposedly clear lung corruption. As shadows retreat, someone fails spectacularly. A man panics, skips testing to gulp down a safe longan. His throat swells, skin patterning like dragon fruit rind. Colleagues roll him into a pond where lotus roots allegedly draw out poisons. It works, sort of. He emerges cured, but allergic to moonlight for the next lunar cycle. You pocket a failed plum out of morbid curiosity. It warms against your thigh, whispering in a dialect your phone's translator app labels Proto-Khmer. The voice insists it's misunderstood, pleads for a second chance. By midday, the plum's shriveled into something resembling a dried eyeball, still mumbling about unfair labeling practices. Final test brings cosmic drama. The overseer demands you exhale on a tamarind pod during partial solar eclipse. Your breath mingles with celestial shadows. The pod splits open, releasing aroma notes of burnt cinnamon and regret. Passable, he grunts, marking your forearm with hibiscus dye. The real victory, not coughing when eclipse glare made you want to scream for nursing aides or tequila. Exhaustion erodes caution. You lean against a post, breath fogging a hanging soursop. It mists clean, no poison. But the post turns out to be a termite-chewed guardian statue. Its now moistened wood sprouts fungal blooms that trail you for hours, emitting spores shaped like tiny screaming mouths. You'd complain, but remember what happens to whiners here. Retreating to camp, you spot children playing a deadly game. They exhale on mosquito larvae in jars, betting on which wrigglers balloon into toxic zeppelins. The winner gets a caramel made from solidified lychee honey. The loser must swallow a live guppy. It's disturbingly educational. You learn dragonfly larvae explode if overbreathed. Nightfall brings unexpected vindication. Those confiscated fruits, tossed into a pit where their collective breath creates fog so toxic. Fireflies use it to etch mating glyphs on leaves. You stand downwind, tasting accusations in the air, molten copper and spoiled rosehip. A guard catches your smirk. Laugh tonight. Tomorrow you'll test the king's personal durians. His grin suggests their breath requirements involve singing in perfect pitch while standing on one leg. The wooden fist in your pocket flexes sympathetically, already dreading the vocal warm-ups. Moonless darkness hugs your shoulders, a void so thick it muffles owl hoots into mere vibrations. The guard's threat materializes, harvesting pits where any lamplight must avoid casting your silhouette. Someone hands you a perforated brass lantern, its holes shaped like moth wings. Cast marks, snorts a veteran. Royals get dragon patterns, we get bugs. Blindfolded owls patrol on handlers' arms, their ear tufts twitching at rogue shadows. You recall 9th century Khmer shadow puppetry. Historians verified performers used firelight to project epic tales onto palace walls. Here, those shadows aren't entertainment, they're contraband. A worker adjusts her headscarf too abruptly. Her profile flares on a jackfruit tree. The nearest owl shrieks like a tea kettle, birthing a demon. Guards converge. Their own lanterns emit light that bends around bodies, courtesy of concave mirrors, reportedly smelted from meteorite iron. Quirky detail. Those owls were allegedly trained using chili-rubbed mice, the spice sharpening their hearing through nasal desperation. You don't verify this, though your sinuses tingle sympathetically. Harvesting becomes a dance with negative space. Reach left, but your arm's shadow mustn't cross the durian's spiky halo. The technique. Imagine you're a reverse mime, pulling fruit from darkness while denying light any purchase on your form. One slip, your elbow's outline grazes a sapodilla. An owl detaches from its handler, gliding toward you with eerie silence. Panic rewires instincts. You snuff your lantern, plunging into blindness. The owl veers away, cheated of its prey. Hands now substitute for eyes, fingertips reading fruit ripeness through rind texture. A veteran whispers, "They tried mirrors in 1922. Reflections count as shadows here." His chuckle dies as a guard's boot cracks nearby, spurring you into a crouch that strains 3 back muscles. Comedy creeps in via modern parallels. You mutter about motion-activated security lights, earning scowls from harvesters who think you're invoking spirits. Teen workers debate in hissed tones, could infrared cameras replace owls? An elder intervenes. Cameras don't peck out eyes for side gigs. The teens retreat, possibly Googling avian HR practices on contraband phones. Historians still argue whether these shadow laws prevented theft or appeased some light-phobic deity. You're too busy engineering makeshift barriers, using durian husks to block stray lamplight from neighboring rows. Inspiration strikes from astronomy memes. You mimic a solar eclipse, positioning a pomelo to blot out your lantern's glare. It works until the fruit ripens mid-ploy, bursting into pulp that draws fruit bats and owl patrols. Disaster strikes post-midnight. A newbie lights a cigarette, its ember glowing like a miniature sunset. His face flickers briefly, just enough for owls to triangulate. Guards haul him off as he wails about nicotine addiction. Punishment involves moonlit exposure. His shadow becomes temporary property of the crown, projected onto a tower wall for royal children to ridicule. You exploit the distraction. With guards occupied, you risk illuminating a mango cluster directly. The light reveals not fruit, but amber droplets oozing from the tree's eyes. Yes, eyes. They blink sluggishly, pupils contracting in your lantern's warmth. The veteran warned about old groves that watch back. But this feels personal. The left eye tracks you, leaking resin that smells of apology. Hour before dawn brings perverse relief. Guards rotate shifts, their replacements less alert. You partner with a laundress who claims shadows cling to fabric. She waves her sash to divert owl attention. It works, until a draft sends the cloth fluttering into a guard's face. His anger evaporates when the sash's shadow morphs into a dancing apsara, hypnotizing the squad into confused reverence. Escaping requires sinister geometry. Exit paths demand diagonal movement, keeping your shadow trapped between two lantern posts. Step wrong, and you're marionetted by your own silhouette. The laundress miscalculates, her shadow arm stretching grotesquely across a guard's boots. He pounces, but trips over the very darkness he sought to capture. Final test comes unannounced. A captain demands you transport starfruit without a lantern, using only bioluminescent fungi fed on your own clipped nails. The faint glow preserves your shadow's purity. Barely. Each step feels like smuggling fireflies through a minefield. Success rewards you with a badge carved from wood that drinks light, leaving your hand temporarily see-through. Retreating, you spot rebels testing boundaries. They cast deliberate shadows on saplings, which warp into caricatures of court officials. The trees store these silhouettes, unleashing them during diplomatic visits. It's teenage mischief with Cochranian stakes. You half expect the grove to start projecting dick pics onto the royal pavilion. Dawn exposes the night's toll. Workers compare shadow burns patches where rogue light scorched their clothes into lace-like patterns. Yours resembles a tangled owl talon, or maybe a durian silhouette. The laundress nods approval, wearable defiance. She's already sewing charcoal filters into her sash, preparing for tomorrow's shift. As sunbeams dissolve the darkness, a realization creeps in. Those owls weren't just guards. Their feathers shed particles that cling to rule breakers. Yours glint faintly, marking you for lunar scrutiny. You consider showering, but water here remembers. Better to wear the glitter like defiant makeup, a shimmery middle finger to the shadow regime. Breakfast brings ironic relief. Rice served on plates that double as sundials. You eat quickly before your spoon's shadow can betray you. The herbal tea steams its vapor, forming ephemeral shapes overhead. For once, no rules govern these fleeting ghosts of moisture. You blow gently, watching your breath scatter them into oblivion. Your throat tightens as temple gongs boom. 7 strokes for 7 days of sealed lips. Workers wrap scarves over their mouths. A half-hearted nod to germ theory from managers who still blame fevers on moon phlegm. Breakfast's last sip of lemongrass tea turns bitter. You've entered the annual silent festival. 3 rules thrum through sign language. No speech, no laughter, no teeth clicking. Even yawns must be stifled. Palate vibrations allegedly disturb root systems. Historians link this tradition to Angkor Wat's construction phases, where laborers reportedly used hand signals to prevent sandstone echoes. You doubt the connection. These orchards predate the temples by centuries, but misinformation thrives in mute environments. Your first test comes from nature. A cicada lands on your collar. Its buzz saw mating call drilling into eardrums. Colleagues gesture wildly, pluck it, crush it. You freeze, recalling last year's incident where squashed beetles summoned venomous centipedes. Solution: exhale sharply through your nose. The insect flees, mistaking your nostrils for predator nostrils. Dark humor, oxymoronic in silence. Communication evolves. Laundresses develop a lint-based semaphore, flicking thread clumps to signal owl patrols. Teens scratch coded jokes into mango skins, puns about mime fruits, and silent but deadly durians. Elders disapprove, their scowls loud enough to wilt nearby orchids. Disaster strikes at lunch. A gardener forgets to cushion his clay bowl. It clinks against a stone. Guards materialize, their owl handlers grinning, as the offender's ration of sticky rice is replaced with boiled tree bark. Quirky enforcement detail. Rule breakers must wear shame bananas, clusters of unpeeled fruit strapped to their ears. The pulp ferments in the heat, attracting wasps that buzz in solidarity. Nightfall amplifies soundscapes. Frogs croak with treasonous volume. Geckos click like disapproving librarians. You invent a game. Guess which nocturnal creature would dominate Spotify. Fruit bats win their sonar pings, mimicking avant-garde synth loops. Sleep proves impossible. Snoring risks excommunication. Solution: mimic corpse pose from yoga retreats, though your left leg betrays you with a popcorn kernel's worth of joint crackage. Day 3 reveals airborne threats. A sneeze builds in your sinuses, the dread crescendo of pollen and repression. You pinch your nose, envision the cook who doomed 7 generations of citrus. Pressure mounts, your eyes water, jaw trembles. Salvation comes via humiliation. A passing macaw mimics a guard's flatulence, redirecting all disciplinary attention. Historians still argue whether this festival purified workers or just prevented gossip about royal scandals. You lean toward the latter yesterday. You glimpsed nobles meditating behind screened pavilions, their whispered arguments barely contained. Meals become charades. Breakfast requests involve miming egg sizes, leading to a worker mistakenly receiving 16 quail eggs instead of 1 duck egg. By day 5, silence reshapes reality. Rustling leaves sound like shouted secrets. A dropped trowel might as well be a cymbal crash. You develop phantom vibrations in your vocal cords, the body's rebellion against unnatural restraint. Even blink patterns gain nuance, though prolonged eye contact risks romantic misinterpretation. The finale arrives with cruel irony. A downpour drenches the orchards, raindrops drumming on broad leaves like a million tiny tap dancers. Nature mocks your vows, each splat against mud a potential confession. Workers huddle under silent umbrellas. Oil-treated banana leaves that mute precipitation. The smart ones hum at frequencies felt, not heard. Your attempt destabilizes a spider web, its occupant repelling into your shirt collar for revenge. Sunrise on the 8th day brings bedlam. Cooks sing off-key nursery rhymes, guards bark orders about non-existent tasks. You try speaking, only to produce a hoarse croak that startles nearby langurs. Rehabilitation requires sipping honeyed ginger concoctions. Ironic, since bees exemplify buzzworthy discipline. As normalcy returns, you spot changes. Blossoms open wider, roots dig deeper. Some claim the trees themselves absorbed the silence, a theory supported by the sudden lack of creaking branches. You're just grateful to clear your throat without existential consequences. Though part of you misses the clarity of unspoken communion. The festival's true cost emerges at dusk. A groundskeeper forgets to reactivate his voice. He's discovered at moonrise, humming wordlessly to a sapling. His family will collect his wages in jasmine rice and regret. You check your own reflection in a watering can, relieved to find no silence-induced wrinkles. Prevention method, secretly mouthing Shakespearean insults at passing lizards, a vocal exercise masquerading as rebellion. Final irony, the loudest post-festival sound comes from royal carriages. Nobles arrive to collect silence taxes, jars of air captured during the quietest hour. Court chemists will distill it into tonics for insomniac princes. You wonder if they'll notice the sample contaminated by your neighbor's repressed belch. A carbonated protest, preserved for posterity. Exhaustion wins. You collapse onto a bamboo mat, lulled by the blessed, ordinary, glorious noise of your own snoring. Sunlight stings your eyes after days of hushed twilight. The orchards hum with stolen noise. Workers shuffle barefoot, their souls coated in forbidden afternoon dust. Rule 1 glares from fresh signage. Bees here work for the crown. Their wax chokes moonlight. You smirk, remembering Angkor Wat's apiaries kept temple walls buzzing with prosperity hymns. These hives sing darker harmonies. A foreman thrusts a bamboo smoker into your hands. Its rancid sweetness suggests fermented lychee. Calm them, don't charm them, he barks, contradicting 3 hand gestures from yesterday's training. The hives resemble tiny pagodas, lacquered black to absorb unwanted radiance. Historians still argue whether ancient Khmer dentists used royal honey for tooth fillings. But you're skeptical. Most nobles had rotted smiles by 30. Your first task, scrape wax without triggering swarm defense. The trick, whisper apologies to each hexagonal cell. Bees here detest ingratitude. A colleague mimes his method, exaggerated bowing that nearly topples his conical hat. You try replicating it. Your spine creaks, 1 knee pops. 6 guard bees lift off in formation. Panic becomes pedagogy. They circle your head twice, then retreat. Fringe theory confirmed. Apis dorsata recognizes sarcastic curtsies. Disaster brews at lunch. A novice pockets an amber-dripping comb. His karma arrives before dessert. Faint bioluminescence blooms across his knuckles, intensifying as shadows lengthen. By moonrise, he's a human lantern glowing faintly like deep-sea plankton. Guards confiscate his shoes, citing non-reflective soul violations. Treatment, submersion in tamarind slurry until dawn. You note the lesson theft makes you a temporary torch, but at least night harvests improve. Conversation pivots to hive acoustics. Workers swear certain pitches make wax pliable like audible butter. You experiment, humming radio jingles into a honey super. Mid-90s all-truck works best. The comb softens into something spreadable. A supervisor catches you. His punishment is poetic. 3 days decoding warnings from scout bees. Their waggle dances now set to Nickelback riffs. Historians still debate whether moonlight-proof wax aided ritual silences or helped nobles avoid solar taxes. You favor the tax dodge theory. Yesterday, you glimpsed accountants smuggling hives into shadowed alcoves. The bees disagreed. Their stings left treasurers, fingers too swollen for abacus use. Dusk unveils the hive's true guardians. Fireflies cluster at entrances, not for symbiosis, for blackmail. Their abdomens pulse with encrypted patterns, Morse code for royal secrets buried southwest. You resist investigating last week. A beekeeper followed the signals, found only a decomposing ukulele. The final test comes unannounced. A honey guide bird perches on your smoker, chirping directions to a better hive. Its feathers shimmer with residual wax, likely banished for leading workers into viper nests. You play along, feigning interest until it tries pecking your earlobe. Counterattack. Blow a smoke ring. It coughs, rebukes you in perfect Mina mimicry, then flees. Harvest's end leaves gifts. Your forearms buzz with phantom vibrations. Hair stiffens from crystallized nectar. Nightmares feature hexagonal cells, closing around you, each shaped like a screaming mouth. Colleagues joke about starting a glow-in-the-dark carnival until the director confiscates all neon pigments for security. You exit through a corridor of apiaries. One hive hums a familiar tune. Your Nickelback experiment lives on. Royal bees now vocalize Chad Kroger's lyrics about photogenic rebellion. History won't record this, but you smile knowing future archaeologists may question why 9th century hives resonate with early 2000s Canadiana. As moonlight finally pierces the grove, the wax does its duty. Beams hit your harvested comb, dimming like a rheostat. Shadows reclaim stolen luminosity, your final sight before curfew. The glowing thief from lunch, bobbing in his tamarind bath, humming a power ballad through puckered lips. The tamarind glow fades as you enter a grove where shadows tax your bones. No benches here sit directly on roots, and canopy accountants begin their work. Leaves flutter down like green receipts, each etched with your current weight in olden Khmer numerals. You recall Angkor's standardization of stone weights. In 1201 CE, the royal court prized precision, even in punishments. A warning rustles through branches. Don't shift posture mid-count. 3 princes once dozed here after boar feasts, awoke with collarbones protruding like tent poles. Their servants found hollowed-out saddles where buttocks had pressed moments before. Historians still debate whether this was metabolic magic or court-approved assassination via botanical spreadsheet. Your guide demonstrates the approved squat, knees bent, palms, upturned spine, aligned with a specific mango tree's shadow. Modern diet gurus would weep at the efficiency. 10 minutes in position, and your thighs burn hotter than smuggled chili paste. Workers nearby chant weight totals like bingo callers. You learn your left heel owes 3 ounces of jasmine rice to the soil. Payments get surreal. A merchant's wife reportedly fed the trees her pearl earrings, woke to find oyster shells growing from her earlobes. Another time, a overconfident scribe tossed in copper coins. The grove spit back molten ingots that branded his initials into a papaya. You opt for safety, sprinkling yesterday's saved rice grains. The leaves hiss approval temporarily. Heat amplifies the grove's scrutiny. Sweat drops trigger upcharges, evaporation rates calculated via archaic palm leaf algorithms. You blot your neck with waxed linen, same material used in 14th century Khmer smoke filters. A nearby worker chuckles. He's wearing shoes stuffed with dried lily pads to minimize footprint taxes. Coconut scales broke once, he whispers. Famously measured a concubine's sneeze as 2 pounds. Midday horror, you lean against a trunk for relief. Instantly, sap oozes to ankle height, smelling of fermented dates and regret. The tax, 5 strands of hair, paid immediately. Bald workers suffer worse. One legend mentions toenail clippings morphing into scorpion pincers. As you pluck hairs, a passing monitor praises your voluntary foliage contributions with a smirk. Monsoon season offers cruel humor. Raindrops add water weight. The trees charge extra for liquid ballast. Regulars wear bamboo stilts to elevate themselves, resembling herons, avoiding crocodiles. You improvise, tiptoeing across stones, while cradling a borrowed ceremonial parasol. Its tassels drip silver threads, probably solid mercury. But dignity feels worth the risk. Historians still argue whether shade tolls funded irrigation projects or subsidized the king's infamous perfume habit. You've seen the ledgers. Last month's fig harvest disappeared into palace baths. Workers whisper about underground barter markets, trading shadow debts for fermented wasp honey. Your knees give out. Leaves immediately tally the lapse, payment due in laughter. Forced giggles draw stares, but the trees accept humor as legal tender. Twilight brings auditors. Their silk robes swish through debris, collecting the day's leafy invoices. One pauses at your tally, fingers brushing the numbers. You've been drinking river water, they accuse. The penalty: an extra hour of squatting under the heaviest banyan. Its roots coil like hungry pythons, counting, always counting, as fireflies spell out your remaining debt in glowing fractions. The air hums with wrong directions as you exit the debt-stricken banyan grove. Your compass needle whirls like a dervish. True, north here points toward the king's sleep chamber. Overripe mangoes litter the path, each one a failed navigation experiment. Guides thrust a parrot feather into your hand. Its tip glimmers with pooled mercury, pointed at the moon. A worker murmurs. If the quill turns warm, you're facing His Majesty's latrine. You recall King Jayavarman VII's palace blueprints, an actual historical document showing bedchamber placement, dictated city grids. Tonight, that legacy means shivering with a toxin-dipped feather. Mercury's metallic tang coats your tongue, same element alchemists once called quicksilver across Asia. A passing page offers tips. Pretend you're following the king's snores or his chamber pot route. Trouble comes when clouds veil the moon. The feather grows icy, its mercury veins pulsing like distressed glow sticks. Modern hikers would panic. You improvise. Crouch eastward, ears pressed to soil, listening for royal guards, rhythmic sandal slaps. Historians still argue whether Khmer compass rules were sacred astronomy or a king's paranoia about midnight assassins. Wagons clatter past with parrot cages. Breeders prize birds, fed lunar-touched figs. Legend says a 19th century French botanist stole 3. His maps later showed a 6-mile detour to avoid a single papaya tree. You sidestep a puddle reflecting the Big Dipper upside down, its handle aiming toward forbidden royal baths. Dawn threatens as you reach the grove's edge. The feather crisps under first sunlight, mercury evaporating into carcinogenic sparkles. Guards confiscate it with tongs, redip at moonrise, or walk south forever. South here is worse, leads to the tax-collecting banyans. You surrender gratefully, bare souls remembering yesterday's weight tolls. Fireflies reappear, spelling not death this time, but a single glowing decree. Cherish getting lost. The king's snore echoes like a broken gong, your new North Star. The king's snoring guides you past crumbling watchtowers, their shadows stretching like accusation fingers. Dawn's first blush paints the central spire, home to that infamous blade. You've heard rumors touch it, and every childhood's scraped knee, every paper cut from palace scrolls resurfaces as raised welts. Khmer ironworkers supposedly quenched this knife in coconut milk, a real technique to prevent corrosion. It worked, mostly. Now the blade dangles by a thread, its surface patterned like a drunk cartographer's nightmare. A guard yawns, touching its not forbidden, just spectacularly unwise. Your palms itch, maybe one graze, just to confirm the legends. The metal whispers of monsoon rains and forgotten wars. 17 generations of gardeners avoided this test. Yet here you stand. Historians still argue whether the knife judges guilt or simply remembers all human violence. 3 French explorers reportedly chipped samples in 1893. Their museum plaques later stated acquired through diplomatic exchange. Funny, their expedition journals mention midnight screams and scalpels working overtime. You lean closer, rust flakes drift like carcinogenic snow. A joke forms, bet this thing's killed more men through tetanus than curses. Too late, your sleeve brushes the hilt. Elbow scar from age 7 burns anew. That time you fell into a kiln. Childhood's buried wounds parade across your arms, each gash glowing faintly jade. The guard chuckles, happens weekly. He gestures to a ledger filled with aliases and their newly inked scars. Your knees buckle as that time you trimmed roses wrong in 2019 flares up. Outside, parrots mimic the sound of shears, slicing air, or maybe flesh. Mercury from earlier still clouds your thoughts. You stumble into sunlight, new scars throbbing in unison. Tomorrow's rules whisper through the mango groves. But tonight you wear every mistake, written in jade-lit skin. Something rustles in the tower's depths, dry leaves, or the blade turning to face your retreating back. You walk faster. North Star's snore now syncs with your heartbeat. The orchard's final joke. Pain makes the best navigation aid. The moon hangs low, a ripe fruit refusing to fall. Your jade scars pulse as you spot her, a harvester winding lotus fibers tight around her swollen middle. Blessings upon the mother tree, she murmurs, though her eyes dart toward shadowed groves. Khmer royal archives mention midwives trained in herbal wraps, real 14th century prenatal care disguised as ritual. But this feels stickier. She knots the cord 7 times. Emergency cesarean by foliage, you almost joke, until recalling those tailies. Unbound bellies tempt the trees, twisted humor gifting twins where there should be one. The second child, always wooden joints creaking like bamboo in monsoon winds. A 1908 French botanist's journal describes such a pair, flesh and carved teak, sharing a cradle. His sketch shows tiny root hairs where the wooden one's scalp should be. You trail her through mango rows, sticky air smelling of overripe consequences. Her hands keep smoothing the binding, lotus strips, supposedly stealing the grove's attention. Modern guides claim it's about preventing stretched ligaments. But you've seen how these branches twitch. Fringe theorists argue it's really anti-photosynthesis sunscreen trees, eyeing the ultraviolet glow of unborn life. A sudden cramp doubles her over. She hisses through teeth. Not here. Not now. The soil between her feet darkens. 8 gray snails emerge, their shells spiraling counterclockwise, forming a biological sundial. Workers call this the grove's dilation check. Too fast, the ritual hut lies 147 paces northeast, marked by termite mounds, shaped like swollen bellies. She wobbles onward, lotus fibers fraying. You remember Angkor Wat's birthing stones, carved with goddesses mid-labor. Proof even gods needed delivery rooms. Historians still argue whether these taboos protected babies, or the orchard's appetite for unchecked growth. The answers written in the nurseries, rows of wooden dolls cradled by banyan roots. Her water breaks as thunder rumbles, no clouds in sight. The trees rustle approval. A patrol materializes, blindfolded owls on their shoulders to block your path. Men don't witness the unwitnessable. One growls, though their eyes linger on your glowing scars. You retreat counting termite mounds until shrill cries split the night. Two voices harmonize, one lusty, one sounding suspiciously like creaking teak. Dawn reveals her returning empty-armed, lotus cord now a necklace. The official report will cite stillbirth, but during the monsoon rains, locals say you can hear a wooden child laughing, chasing mangoes that roll just out of reach. Rainwater drips from your earlobes, mocking the wooden child's laughter, still ringing in your skull. Moonless nights transform the orchard into a starless cave. Guard patrols triple. You spot them testing each harvester's stride, comparing limps to some invisible standard. Turns out, His Majesty's got a bad leg. You're handed a charcoal rubbing of royal footprints, the left deeper, dragged slightly. Practice begins at sunset. Plant the right foot firmly, hesitate, then slide the left through soil like it's stuck in molasses. Remember Angkor Wat's royal processions, stones cut with impossible precision. Even 20th century lasers couldn't improve their fit. But this shuffle, it's like imitating a crab's hangover. A guard barks, his blindfolded owl swiveling its head toward your ankles. No one knows how they train those birds to detect gait flaws, only that apprentices spend years shuffling behind curtains. Rumor says failed trainees become the ammonia stench in royal latrines. Your first attempt earns a bamboo cane to the shins. The second, hot wax dripped on your collarbone. By midnight, your body moves like Pracasanthep IX's ghost. Historians still argue whether his limp came from a war wound, or that time he tried riding a tamed jungle rhino. The truth's etched in palace friezes if you ignore the chisel marks censoring the beast's horns. Breathless, you reach the dew collection zone. Workers here move like broken puppets. One man's limp so exaggerated, he's basically hopscotching. Saw a guard's owl puke once, he wheezes. Coughed up a human molar. Their training diet, motivational. Something clinks underfoot, a rusted ankle shackle from the 1700s. French colonial records mention gait correction devices. But this looks handmade. Your toe prods the metal, it shivers, then rolls toward the king's private pavilion. North, always north. Even the scrap metal knows where true power lies. 3 chimes sound. Guards melt into the shadows. You're left alone with an impossible choice. Stand motionless and risk the grove mistaking you for a tree, or walk naturally, inviting those owls back with their talon-first scrutiny. Your compromised shuffle accidentally mirrors a 1980s disco move, left leg twitching like a busted antenna. Then it clicks. That's exactly how Pracasanthep moved during his infamous Drunken Elephant Festival. You exaggerate the limp, adding a royal wave to invisible subjects. The trees part, revealing a path paved with crushed oyster shells. Their iridescence glows faintly, each step crunching like 1,000 tiny applauding bones. Dawn threatens as you exit the orchard. Guards nod, their owls unnervingly silent. But your left leg won't stop dragging. Could have sworn you saw Pracasanthep's shadow earlier, walking perfectly upright, while yours hunched and wheezed behind. Your dragging foot catches on oyster shell gravel, each crunch echoes like vertebrae popping. Dawn's first rays expose what night hid. The path behind you's vanished. Workers ahead kneel, pressing foreheads to soil as new rules scrolls unroll. Tomorrow's edicts rewrite yesterday's. Your perfected limp, now obsolete. Royal archivists once tried documenting every law. 10th century ledgers show 16 scribes gone mad by page 3. You spot a tea stain shaped like Cambodia, or maybe a screaming face. Modern scholars debate whether Angkor's canals watered crops or fed something beneath the temples. Neither side's tasted canal sludge that writhes like living mercury. A guard tosses fresh instructions into the dirt. The parchment dissolves upon impact. Words etch themselves into your palms instead. No standing after dawn. No breath held longer than 7 seconds. No counting petals allowed. You try memorizing clauses. They squirm like tadpoles under skin. Someone coughs, a worker's clutching their throat, fingers fraying into bark. His left iris hardens into polished teak. Colleagues avert their eyes. This happens when yesterday's rules cling too tight. You suddenly miss section 28's clay huts and their womb-like silence. The grove hums, not with insects, but low digestive growls. Trees sag, bloated with unripe burdens. Your new rules whisper a chilling truth. Last night's harvest nourished roots. Tonight feeds the feeder. Historians love debating Khmer irrigation tech. None mention these gnarled trunks pulsing like slackened throats. Your legs move without consent, dragging you back toward the now invisible path. Workers peel away, their eyes milk white from rule poisoning. That something older isn't under the grove, it is the grove. Colonial maps labeled this area fungal. Turns out they weren't describing mushrooms. You stumble into a clearing where fruits glow, faintly ultraviolet. A carved stone slab protrudes its surface, pitted by centuries of acidic sap. Runic warnings match those at Samber Prakuk, but here they're written backwards. Your pinky toe brushes the inscription. It sears like dry ice. 3 chimes sound the signal to abandon current edicts. Too late. Vines snake around your ankles, tipping you toward a blossom's gaping maw. Inside, darkness swirls with bioluminescent mites. 17th century French accounts describe night pearls in Khmer crowns. Turns out they were fossilized insect clusters. You brace for the bite. It never comes. The flower retracts, vomiting up a half-digested scroll. Today's rules coil around your wrist, burning fresh directives into flesh. No eye contact with buds, no footwear containing leather, no thoughts about the king's rhino accident. Dawn proper arrives, your cursed leg finally stills. Guards collect contaminated workers, their bodies sprouting lichen across sweat-slick skin. One man winks, his eyelid crackles like parchment. Newbies always miss the loophole, he rasps. Yesterday's rules die, but their lessons root as phalanx trees close ranks. You spot a caretaker grafting saplings onto human spines. Her tools glint, recognizable from Da Nang Museum's 2017 Mythical Horticulture exhibit. Archaeologists dismissed them as ceremonial props. Nobody questioned why the soil in display cases kept moving. Your rule-scarred palms itch, you scratch, dislodging a gossamer seed pod. It floats northward, defying the breeze. Follow it past the king's decaying summer palace, beyond the acid marshes, into air thick with spores that taste of forgotten tongues. The grove's hunger shrinks behind you, but your left foot's gone disturbingly wooden. Your tired foot catches on broken shells. Each step cracks like old bones. Morning light reveals what darkness hid. The path behind you has disappeared. Workers bow ahead, pressing faces to earth as new rules uncurl. Yesterday's perfect steps mean nothing now. Silent royal records tell of scribes losing minds, ink-stained pages burned long ago. That tea stain on the parchment, maybe a map, maybe a warning. Experts argue about Angkor's waterways. Were they for crops, or for feeding deeper hungers? None have felt the canal's silvery crawl beneath their skin. A guard throws fresh laws to the ground. Paper melts into soil. The rules carve themselves into your hands instead. Never stand after sunrise. Never hold your breath past 7. Never count petals with voice. You try to remember, words wriggle like eels in wet mud. A choked cough. A worker's throat sprouts twisted roots. Wood grain spreads across his eye. Others turn away. This is what happens when old rules stick. You ache for the quiet clay huts from before their damp, still air. The orchard drones, not with life, but with deep, wet sounds. Branches sag heavy with sour fruit. New whispers rise. Last night fed the roots. Tonight feeds what waits. Scholars praise Khmer engineering. They ignore the trees, throbbing the bark that sweats and shivers. Your legs pull you backward toward a path that isn't there. Workers stagger, eyes clouded white from broken rules. That ancient thing they whisper about. It's not below the grove. The grove is it. Old maps called this place rotting, but not from mushrooms. You trip into a glade, fruits glow with sickly violet light. A stone slab rises, eaten by centuries of bitter sap. Markings mirror those at old temples. Yet here they twist in reverse. Your toe grazes the carving. Cold fire licks your skin. 3 bells ring, time to drop yesterday's laws. Too slow. Vines coil your legs, dragging you toward a bloom's wet jaws. Inside, tiny lights swirl like drowned stars. History books call them royal gems. But you see the truth, congealed insect husks. You wait for pain. It doesn't come. The flower shudders, spitting out a slimy scroll. Fresh rules wrap your arm, branding skin with demands. Never meet a bud's gaze. Never wear skins of beasts. Never recall the king's fallen rhino. True dawn breaks, your cursed leg grows still. Guards gather the changed workers, lichen blooming across their backs. One man smiles, his eyelid crinkles like old paper. New ones never see it, he croaks. Old rules fade, but their roots stay. As trees fold around you, a gardener stitches saplings to bent spines. Her tools shine. You've seen their twins in museum glass. Curators called them ritual toys, never asking why the exhibit soil squirmed after dark. Your scarred hand itches. You scratch, freeing a silken seed. It drifts north against the wind. Follow it past crumbled palaces, over stinging bogs, into air sweet with spores of lost words. The grove's ache fades, but your left foot feels stiff, oddly grain-textured. Breathe slow now. Let the weight slip. The seed becomes a distant speck. The wood in your bones softens to memory. Rest in the stillness where rules dissolve and roots finally sleep.